and they saved our daughter's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my good friend Harry Parker and the ultimate seafood dining experience at Gulf Shores, GulfShoresRestaurantandGrill.com. Gulf Shores offering a unique dining experience with a vast, mouth-watering menu of all of your favorite delicious dishes, something for everyone's taste or palate. 3 convenient locations, Edwardville, Creve Coeur, and St. Peter's. Dine in, carry out. They've got a food truck, too. Friendly staff, looking forward to seeing you, making your dining experience one you will remember. Gulf Shores RestaurantandGrill.com.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, homeowners, when is the last time you checked your home title? Scammers are everywhere, and they're targeting your equity. With just a single forged document, they can file at the county. So don't wait until it's too late. Find out if you are already a victim today. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use the promo code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. On this Monday, it is an interesting exercise to try to figure out how President Trump thinks. But since I've known him for more than 3 decades, I got it down. And I am not a sycophant. I am not somebody who goes, yes, Mr. President, yes, sir, whatever you want. That is not me, as you know. But I understand the man. So let me give you a very vivid example. He goes to Asia and he gets a lot of good stuff for the USA. He comes back and the Trump haters, the Democratic Party, no. Trip wasn't very good. No, China got the better of him. It's all a bunch of bull. So in his first 10 months in office, President Trump did 100 times more than Joe Biden did in 4 years. That's provable. That is a fact. Some of the stuff hasn't worked. And Mr. Trump is certainly way too bellicose, word of the day. But he goes to Asia, and he told me directly, and Mr. Trump has never lied to me, that his deals will amount to $2 trillion in benefit for America. Now, I can't do the accounting, but again, the man does not lie to me. So why not give the president the benefit of the doubt? Japan likes him, Malaysia likes him, Cambodia likes him, China, South Korea likes him. All of that is a plus. And let's pray the China thing works out. Back in a moment. Bill O'Reilly here. If you are stuck in a timeshare you no longer want, my friends at Lone Star Transfer can assist. Over the past 15 years, the family-owned company has helped more than 30,000 owners break free from their timeshares. They'll provide a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. So please call Lone Star Transfer 833-594-00. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A fast-moving weather pattern brings a series of fronts through our area this week, but only one of those fronts brings a chance of rain. That's not going to happen until late Thursday night into Friday. So a lot of dry time this week and a warming trend. Sunny skies today, 64 for the high, with a dry front shifting winds out of the northwest at 7 to 12 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tonight, low of 44 in St. Louis. Mostly sunny Tuesday with a warmer high at 71. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Let's get moving, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, just another reminder. Tomorrow, for many people around the area, is Election Day. Yeah, did you forget about that? Because that's exactly what they want you to do, because almost everything on the ballot is a tax increase, which is why it's on one of these ridiculous off election cycle days. The other one is just a woke, nonsensical thing in Clayton, but we're going to remind you of that throughout the day here and today and tomorrow, so you can get the word out. There's never a good time to raise taxes, but especially not right now. Hey, good morning. Mike Ferguson here. Okay, so the big news last week in St. Charles County is that Steve Ellman changed his mind, as you know, and he's going to run for re-election. Well, that leaves a three-way contest as of right now between Steve, former Senator Bill Eigel, and former Lake St. Louis Mayor Jason Law. We talked to Steve, we talked to Bill, and on Friday, we chatted with Jason Law about that race for county executive. And here was the update that he gave us on his campaign. Jason, when you got the news, you heard that Steve was deciding, he changed his mind, he was going to run for another term. Did that surprise you at all? And then pretty quickly, you and Bill Eigel both are saying, doesn't change anything for me. I'm still in the race.
No, and I'm running for St. Charles County executive. But no, it doesn't change much at all for us. I mean, we built our campaign for the long haul. We don't care if it's 1 or 10 people that get in. We have a plan and an objective, and it's working with taxes, and it's making sure crime is low. And, Steve's a good person. But, when he started office, I was close to 7 or 8 years old. So things have changed a lot, and we want to focus on the future in the next, 5, 10, 15 years. And we want to make sure that we're making sure taxes are low, and we want to make sure crime is low.
Those are important. Jason, this is Susie. I wanted to ask you about that on the taxes thing. What are the best ways you think that St. Charles can be working towards lowering taxes for its residents?
I think first off, you have to work with the state of Missouri, but there are things that you can do at the county level, and those are things that we're going to look at, whether it's eliminating personal property tax or trying to get real estate tax under control. But we'll definitely look at both of those things, and we have a plan and an objective to make sure that we lower taxes in St. Charles County. If you look over the last 40 years since Steve's been in office or some type of office, taxes have gone through the roof. If you look at any politician in St. Charles County over the last 10, 15 years, myself as a part-time mayor of Lake St. Louis, I'm the only one that cut taxes in St. Charles County. And I cut them by 46% by paying off debt early and becoming a debt-free city. And there's not many of those in this entire region.
When I was asking Steve about the tax issue, one of his answers, and so I'll let you respond to his answer, was he says, well, most of the property taxes and all of that are applied in other jurisdictions, library boards, school districts, that sort of thing. And his answer was, well, which is really very little that the county can do about property taxes. We have to look at other taxes. Do you agree with that assessment on that? Because I'm sure, we had Bill Eigel on and he disagreed with it completely. But what's your take on what the county itself can do specifically?
I appreciate Steve, but I think he's thinking in a silo and he's not thinking outside the box. I completely disagree with him. There's several ways you can eliminate personal property tax, whether it's cutting your own budget and trying to do rebates as Bill Eigel does, whether you're levying a 1.25% sales tax and eliminating personal property tax, or you're working with the state of Missouri and you're making sure like a plan like Richard West gets through, and you're leading your district and your reps and your senators in a way that makes it happen in Jeff City.
One of the big, qualities of St. Charles County is its growth. I mean, it's obviously been booming for years, and it's continuing to grow. How do you envision kind of fostering that growth without us getting, I'm saying us because I live in St. Charles County, without it just kind of growing too fast and then being overwhelmed?
Well, you have to look at the zoning in St. Charles County. When I was the mayor, like I said, a part-time mayor, I'm a full-time lieutenant colonel with the St. Louis County Police Department. But when I was the part-time mayor, in the first 4 months, I did a moratorium on apartment complexes because there were so many going up in St. Charles County. They were overwhelming our resources, the schools, the fire, the police. You have to get those things under control. And I've supported candidates that had believed in the same thing. I supported Keith Weideman, who's now the mayor in Dardenne Prairie, who just did a moratorium on apartments. I supported Brian McKinney, who's in Lake St. Louis, who's continuing the practice of lower density. We have to get those things under control. And the old guard in St. Charles County just hasn't protected us.
And we talked to Bill Eigel about that yesterday, because growth is, to me, obviously the biggest issue that St. Charles County is dealing with right now. It's not a matter of will St. Charles County grow, it's how will it grow. He was making an argument for the county government to be able to put basically a veto or a stop on things approved in the city, essentially putting the county government in a position to be sort of in authority over the cities. Now, there's a lot of cities aren't going to like that very much. What's your position, since you've been a mayor? What's your take on what the role of the county government should be in relation to the city governments?
Listen, I'm not going to try to be some type of dictator. What I'm going to do is what I just did. I supported candidates that did the right thing, that are protecting St. Charles County residents. I'm not going to try to strip power away from everybody. My goal is I've always worked with people to get things done, and I'll do that in St. Charles County. I work with people. I don't alienate people.
And on the business front, in terms of additional, corporate growth, business growth, industrial growth out in St. Charles County, because obviously there is room for that as well. What do you see as the most effective way to encourage that?
Well, keeping your taxes low. I mean, there's going to be most likely a Costco in the city of Lake St. Louis, and it still has to go through planning and zoning, and it still has to go through the Board of Aldermen. But if that does go through, they picked Lake St. Louis because we had a lower sales tax. Keeping taxes low brings business. As long as people are also safe. If you bring a safe community, you have that up front, which I am extremely good at getting that done. We cut crime by 45% in Lake St. Louis over 4 years by making proper investments in law enforcement and backing the blue. When you do those things, people come, and when that happens, business comes. Now you have to do it smart, but we will accomplish those things when I become county executive.
Okay, that was leading into what I wanted to ask about with the public safety aspect of that. So again, you've got, the county police, which obviously, you got the, with St. Charles County, you've got the county law enforcement resources, and then you've obviously got all the municipal ones. Are they working together well now? Excuse me. And then what should be the next steps or the first steps if you're elected to improve public safety? And would the county basically take the lead, or would the county be the support at the city level?
So there's many things you can do. I do think the municipalities in St. Charles County do kind of work well together, but there needs to be a lot of improvement in that area. There needs to be more investment in technology. There needs to be more cooperation. And you can definitely lower crime in St. Charles County. If you look over the last 48 to 72 hours, there was a stabbing. Someone was stabbed to death in St. Charles City, and then a pawn shop was broken into where several guns were taken. The common denominator of both of those were juveniles. And people aren't talking about juvenile justice reform, and I am. You have to have juvenile justice reform at the state level, or you're going to see these crimes continue to persist, and crime will go up, and we'll lose companies, and people will move.
We're visiting with Jason Law, running for St. Charles County executive. And so when you look at, I guess, the landscape where the race is right now, Mike Elam's out of the race, obviously, to make room for Steve Ellman's run for re-election on this. There's probably a lot of people, Jason, who say, well, St. Charles County is doing pretty well. I mean, things must be running well. Why do we need a change if there are things that are going well right now? What is it that you want people to hear as far as what you would do differently when overall St. Charles County is in a better spot than a lot of maybe all the other counties in the metro?
Well, that's when people get complacent. And I've been preaching about this for a long time now. We can't be complacent. I just talked about those two crimes in the last 48 hours. Mike Elam, when he was running, he was one of those guys that said there is no problem with crime. Well, the way he thinks and the way he believes, he's backed 8 candidates in the last few years, and he's lost all of those races. People are clearly not on the same mindset of what he thinks and what people like him think. We need strong law and order. We need good tax reform, and we need to give our people some relief on those taxes. And that's the way I'm going to run things.
All right, Jason, let's go ahead and put the website. I think we've already tagged you on our social media, I believe. But people want to get in touch, learn more about your campaign. What's the way to do it?
lawforstcharlescounty.com. I have a Facebook page. reach out anytime, and I'll be happy to meet with anybody.
Congressman Bob Onder going to be with us at 7:35. At 8:05, Niles Stevens from Mo Tax Relief. Now, let's talk about all of these tax increases that are on the ballot tomorrow. Make sure if you live in one of the affected areas that you get out and vote against them. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime,
Love the News Talk STL app.
anywhere.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fence Works, and I've got some great news for families thinking about adding a fence or deck. While other companies are struggling with delays and rising costs, our commitment to American-made materials is saving our customers money. Picture your kids playing safely in your perfectly fenced backyard or hosting friends on your beautiful new deck, all while knowing you got the best value for true American quality. Whether you're dreaming of a classic ornamental fence or low-maintenance vinyl, or maybe that custom deck that you've been considering, our American-made materials and expert craftsmanship deliver superior results at prices other companies simply cannot match. This really is the golden time for your backyard project, and we have flexible financing options to make it even easier. Your satisfaction is our passion, and that's a promise. Visit stlfenceworks.com. Let's lock in your savings and satisfaction today.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. Like I just mentioned a few minutes ago, tomorrow is election day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, we're seeing a lot on obviously what's happening in Virginia. New York City is probably getting the most attention. So New York City, Virginia, California with Prop 50 coming up. Honestly, if Prop 50 passes in California, all this other redistricting, Missouri and Texas, that all might be just like checked by California in one fell swoop.
Wow.
And if Illinois does the same thing, then Democrats may end up actually numerically coming out ahead. So there's a good chance Republicans may lose the control of the House in the 2026 elections because of this battle of the gerrymandering.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing. I mean, the Democrats, I don't want to say it was good, but what they have done very well is that they've sneakily been gerrymandering this entire time, so they don't have to worry necessarily about that being a problem with the primaries, because there are a couple of states right now where they have 0 Republican seats, even though there are Republicans in those states.
Oh, like 40% of them.
Yeah.
You're talking about like New England.
Yeah.
There's several states that, but that's he who wins the elections draws the lines. And that's the way it's been for a long time. It's not right.
And I hate it.
I would think with the mathematical geniuses we have out there now with AI, now with all of this, that we could draw districts that just look at where is the population in every state.
Mm-hmm.
And let's go on one incredibly bizarre, radical premise. All right. Now I'm going to say something that's way off the wall here. We treat every single voter as though they are treated equally under the law and for elections.
Are you proposing a republic for our system of representation?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. How radical.
I assume that I'm going to assume, just for the sake of argument, hear me out, people. Hear me out. The black guy in St. Louis is treated the same as the white woman in Chillicothe when it comes to their votes. Okay. So I know. Bear with me. Okay. Hold on. And then what you do is you say, where's the population? All of so Missouri has 8 congressional seats, so 8 districts, and we divide that up to where they are as equally represented as possible and as compactly as possible. Now, northern Missouri is going to be probably across the entire state because it's so sparsely populated to get the same number of people, but you simply group them together as much as you can and then let the chips fall where they may.
So you're suggesting that state districts should be comprised and drawn in ways that actually represent the people, the proportion of the people that vote that way in the states?
I see. Now you're making me sound crazy when you put it
I'm
like
about
that.
to get
I
my
know.
pitchfork, Mike.
I know. See, now you're making me sound nuts when you put it that way. But yes, that's what I'm saying. And don't get me started on my way to solve the nomination caucus primary, nomination process, because I could write a whole booklet on that. I've got it figured out, but nobody wants to listen to me. So
I'll listen to you, Mike.
I know you will. You'll actually probably like it. All right. So all of that's happening. All the attention is going to be in New York. So we're going to be talking about that. I'm sure, obviously some tomorrow, but Wednesday, definitely after we get the results. It looks like, it looks like, now there could be, Cuomo could have some kind of miracle, but it looks like the city of New York, less than 25 years after 9/11, is about to elect a communist Muslim to be their mayor. That I'm not throwing that out as pejoratives. I'm throwing that out as adjectives.
As a matter of fact,
those are matters of fact. Yeah. And so the question that, if that's what happened, I'm just telling you right now, the question I'm going to ask on Wednesday is, we said in 2001 that we would never forget.
Mm-hmm.
If New York City, the prime target, forgets, should we bother to keep remembering? Now, the moral answer is no, but if this is what New York City thinks of that, then should the rest of us get all worked up over it?
Well, and so I've been trying to better understand. There's not a whole lot to understand when it comes to New York. A lot of the city of New York City, well, let alone the state, is just pretty much too far gone to the left. Yeah. But there is a combination of frustration with the way that the younger people would call the old guard way of doing things, even if it's the Democrats. There's frustration with that. And so logically speaking, or maybe illogically, but what makes sense to a lot of people is, if this has been the way it's gone and it's got us here, and then you have somebody that's completely the opposite, then maybe we should give them a chance to see what happens. People don't realize how much worse it can actually get. So they think, well, how much worse can it actually get? Then on the other hand of that, blue cities, especially in big states like that, they are prime spots for legal immigration. And so people from these communities that have these shared values are saying, hey, that's our guy. He represents us. And so I've noticed when the demographics were broken down that seems to be a lot of whose primary voter base is. So it's going to be interesting. It sounds oversimplistic, but either if Mamdani wins, it's either going to work or it's not. And hopefully it works, but we're going to really see the damages of what happens if it doesn't.
Yeah. And I saw a couple articles over the last couple of weeks. It kind of had me reconsidering. I'm like, okay, maybe I should think about this. Can one guy, even a socialist or communist, come in and take $1 trillion economy and completely take ownership of it as mayor? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. But can he do a lot of damage? Oh, the rent control policies that they already have are keeping thousands of people out of housing. There's something like, what was it? Last one I saw was something like 100,000 apartment units vacant because the law in New York doesn't allow rent increases. They're rent controlled. And so the amount of money it would take to bring them up to code is more money than they would get in profit off rent. So it's financially reasonable for the landlords to just leave them empty.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. The other thing I saw, I can't remember who the interview was with, but somebody was interviewing him and saying, well, we're already seeing some people fleeing, but there's expected to be a mass exodus of business owners, CEOs, people like that. The exact people that you're talking about raising, taxes on to fund your plans. And basically his solution is to send people out to go grab the CEOs and bring them back here. I'm like, you're saying you're going to get slave catchers to go grab the CEOs so you can tax them.
Okay, so he's following up. Mamdani's actually said that if somebody leaves to escape the taxes, that they should find a way to keep taxing them
to bring them back here to pay all this extra
tax.
There
were lawmakers in California that proposed the same thing about 2 years ago, saying if you leave the state, that we're going to pass a law, have the right to try to tax you after you leave because you've denied us that revenue. Now that would never stand up in court eventually, but who knows? In New York, you never know. But yeah, no, that's actually the bottom line, is that the hard far left, socialist left, feels like government has first claim on your life and on your money and on your career.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they feel. And frankly, on your children, when you look at the K through 12 education system.
Oh, yeah.
So they feel they have got the first claim. And that's one of the differences in the worldview between an actual conservative, real conservatives, and then the far fringe left. So, and then by the way, the election day, obviously tomorrow, election day here as well. And so in the news dump here in a few minutes, I'm going to do this a couple times through the day, remind everybody that we have local elections, and all but one of those elections, all but one of them, is a tax increase. So why is there a tax increase on all of these ballots? Well, because there's a massive push for this is a massive push for tax reform and tax relief in the state. The momentum right now in Missouri is get rid of taxes.
Yes.
Just get rid of them or reform them or cap them. So what's happening right now is a whole bunch of cities and school districts are saying, ooh, get while the getting's good. Let's raise some taxes. So in the news dump here in just a few minutes, I'm going to go over, remind you where this is. If you live in one of these school districts or one of these cities, please make sure that you're getting out to vote, and other people whom you know are really frustrated with the tax rate, that burden that we're paying right now, especially in this economy. Make sure they know they can vote. No, it will not take that many votes to defeat these things.
Absolutely not. And it should be a quick in and out.
Should be. Yeah. Oh yeah. The turnout's probably going to be 6, 7, 8, 9%. It's going to be next to nothing. So it won't take that many of us to defeat these things.
Yeah. Now we do have our friend Scott giving us a call.
Okay.
He wants to share some thoughts with us.
So Scott, real quick, I got about a minute or so for you. And can you put him in preview so I can hear too here?
Good morning.
Okay, great. Scott,
gentlemen.
you're on the air.
Good morning, gentlemen. Let's not forget the guy is an Islamist. He's not just Muslim. He's exactly the mindset of the folks that flew the planes into the towers. So if the people of New York forget that, then it was either Mayor Koch or Alphonse D'Amato said sometimes the voters need to be punished, and they will reap what they sow with this. Overall, about the gerrymandering, the Democrats have been doing this forever. Where has been the Republican brain trust, the Newt Gingrich, the Eric Tanners, the Paul Ryans, the Reince Priebus's, all these guys who were drawing huge salaries from the RNC? They weren't aware of this, or they were outsmarted, or what happened?
Hey, Scott, yeah, thanks. I think what happened there is that they saw how bad it was in these deep blue states doing that, and they said, we're not going to play that game. We're better than that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reaction in Missouri, because I've talked to a number of Republicans who say, yeah, this sucks. This isn't the way it's supposed to happen, but they're going to do it. So we're going to do it. And then the Democrats basically said, how dare you respond to what we're doing? We're going to do it again.
How dare. Yeah. And that's
how dare you?
And again, like, I can understand from a logical level that at the federal level, it makes sense to keep redistricting back and forth, but I don't want our state making decisions based on what other states are doing.
Right. And it's a once every 10-year thing. All right. Our tax increase is on the ballot in your community. I'm going to tell you in the news dump right around 7:04.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act, and now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
I remember my son was going to grow up without a father.
I didn't think someone at 23 could be diagnosed with breast cancer.
I was probably the healthiest I had been in my life.
Early detection of a melanoma saved my life.
I survived testicular cancer because of early detection.
I survived cancer not once, but twice because of early detection.
Hi, I'm Congressman Bob Onder. Early detection equals better outcomes. Learn what routine cancer screenings you need and book your doctor's appointment today.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
KL2I HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump describes what's taking place in Nigeria as a mass slaughter, adding that he will not stand for it.
They're killing record numbers of Christians in Nigeria, and they have other countries very bad also. You know that part of the world very bad. They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that to happen.
The president says he's ordered the Pentagon to begin planning for potential military action in Nigeria. He's also warning that he will immediately stop all aid and assistance to the West African nation. The Trump administration says new nuclear weapons tests will be explosion-free.
Energy Secretary Chris Wright clarified President Trump's recent order for the U.S. to start testing nuclear weapons for the first time in 3 decades. He told Fox News the tests will be system tests, not nuclear explosions. Wright's comments came after the president was coy late last week on whether he was actually ordering the resumption of explosive testing of nuclear weapons. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Airline passengers around the country are dealing with major flight delays and cancellations, and food aid for millions is at risk as a result of the government shutdown. At 34 days, current closure is tied for the longest ever shutdown, and there's no end in sight. Senate Republicans insist the Democrats vote to reopen the government before negotiations take place on issues including health care subsidies. Appearing on CBS's 60 Minutes, President Trump describes the Democrats' demands as extortion, insisting that he will not give in to it. Gaza health officials say Israel has handed over the bodies of 45 Palestinians. Nasser Hospital in Gaza received those bodies this morning. On Wall Street, the Dow futures up 28 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 168. More on these stories at townhall.com.
They say timing is everything in the gold and silver markets, and it's true. Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. Although you can buy at the right time, if you buy the wrong coins, you may not make a profit. When gold was $400 an ounce, many people were talked into buying high-grade old gold and silver collector's coins. Unfortunately, most of the people who bought these so-called semi-numismatic coins, like the $20 St. Gordon's and Liberty Head gold coins, have not broken even on their investment. Incredible, given that gold has risen approximately 525% since then. So while timing is everything, if you buy the wrong coins, the timing simply doesn't matter. Having a dealer who cares about positioning you in the right types of coins or bullion will mean more to your portfolio than anything else. That's why I deal with Nick Rovich and AmFed Coin and Bullion. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. Or go to AmericanFederal.com. AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A fast-moving weather pattern brings a series of fronts through our area this week, but only one of those fronts brings a chance of rain. That's not going to happen until late Thursday night into Friday. So a lot of dry time this week and a warming trend. Sunny skies today, 64 for the high, with a dry front shifting winds out of the northwest at 7 to 12 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tonight, low of 44 in St. Louis. Mostly sunny Tuesday with a warmer high at 71. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long have you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Mike Ferguson.
I'm not like the rest of you. I don't make mistakes.
Susie Moore.
What you're telling me doesn't sound logical, my dear.
Get up, St. Louis.
You need to get to go. I need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up. This is your cousin.
All right. If the food stamp thing doesn't affect you, the lines at the airport might. It is a matter of time, Susie.
Oh, no.
And it's happening in some places around the country already. The government shutdown is resulting in problems affecting those who are not dependent on Uncle Sam. That's the frustrating part. It's like, you know what? I don't live my life dependent on Uncle Sam. It's not going to affect me. Well, eventually it will. Yeah. All right. A former St. Louis news anchor is in jail accused of a brutal crime. This is crazy. Crazy. We'll get to the basic details of that in just a minute. And one Cardinal is golden for 2025. Yep. 7:06. Let's go and dump some news on you here.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
All right. Tomorrow is election day and tax increases are on the ballot in many areas. I promised just a few minutes ago I was going to run down the list of who's going to be voting on stuff. The Melville and Rockwood school districts are trying to get property taxes increased with the vote tomorrow. Festus, Creve Coeur, and Ladue want sales tax increases on your online purchases. So they're asking you to raise taxes on yourself there. Bellefontaine Neighbors wants to raise sales taxes on the wacky tobacco cannabis products. Bonita Park is just asking for a general sales tax increase, basically just for general revenue. Clayton has a city charter amendment, actually a series of city charters on the amendment on the ballot to change some procedural protocols, but to also make the document gender neutral.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that like, has that been abused in courts where it's like, aha, Your Honor, this is not gender neutral, doesn't match the gender of my claim? Wow.
It's Clayton. You know,
Now,
You do you.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, because I know we're probably going to bring this up a little bit later, though, but when it comes to these hidden, sneaky tax votes,
yeah,
is it legal to just start a GoFundMe for the government programs? Because I think you can just donate to the government if you want, right? Like, so the people voting that are in favor, why don't they start a GoFundMe and just have that go towards funding it?
I believe that would be legal. I think if they said, I mean, the U.S., you can donate to the federal government to help pay off the federal debt. You can go to the Treasury Department's website, make a donation right now. I would think locally, the school districts would happily take donations, but it's just so much easier to just have the government take other people's money.
It sure is.
Yeah. And that's what we're dealing with. Okay. Government shutdown. This is over a month old now, and it's putting a strain on air travel. It's happening now. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy was on ABC's This Week saying there is a growing frustration.
We will delay, we will cancel any kind of flight across the national airspace to make sure people are safe. But there is a level of risk that gets injected into the system when we have a controller that's doing two jobs instead of one.
I saw a report that Hartsfield in Atlanta at one point over the weekend had 3-hour-long lines for TSA. That's at least according to the report that I saw. And there was video of it. It was like way out. And Atlanta's not easy to get around to start with sometimes, you know.
It's not. Yeah. I mean, I don't travel by air.
Yeah.
But I really don't want to travel by air now.
But I think I mentioned this the other day. I said I was talking to my mom last week, and we've just decided we're just going to call off me going to New Hampshire for Thanksgiving. We'll see. Maybe Christmas, but I'm just decided.
Your brother's up there, right?
Yeah, my brother and obviously sister-in-law and my mom are up in New Hampshire. Yeah, so I haven't. They've been there a little over a year. I haven't been there yet.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and so we were going to go do that, and we're just like, yeah,
maybe pick a time that isn't the holidays.
right? Yeah, or look for Christmas, something like that. So I mean, so we've just kind of said it's, I can't get there by Amtrak because they don't have a route. To there. And then they have a Amtrak station there. They just don't have any routes planned from there. And regarding flying, I'm like, well, we can buy a ticket, but there's a chance it ain't happening,
Yikes.
especially when I've got connecting flights and all that kind of stuff. So we're just like, it's not worth the risk. Let's just figure something out for December, maybe January, something like that. So yeah, that's where it's at. President Trump says Republicans are not interested in compromising with Democrats, even at this point.
With the shutdown entering its 6th week, the president said he won't be extorted by Democrats. Appearing on CBS's 60 Minutes, he said that Democrats who are demanding an extension in health care subsidies have lost their way and predicted that they will eventually capitulate to Republicans. The president said if Democrats don't vote to reopen the government, it's their problem. Greg Clugston, Washington.
I think the president's right.
I think so too.
Yep.
And I'm happy to see that.
Yep.
Mr. Dealmaker is saying, you guys, this is on you guys.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. All right. An illegal alien from Mexico has been charged in the death of a 14-year-old in Southern California who was killed in a DUI hit and run car crash last month. Authorities say the suspect, Jose Abelardo Villegas Orbe, has 2 prior DUI arrests in California. Border czar Tom Homan tells Fox and Friends Weekend that this teenager's death could have been prevented.
That's a crime that shouldn't have happened because he should never been here. And the first time he's arrested, he should have been turned over to ICE. But because of sanctuary law policies, these public safety threats get released every day. And these are the people that ICE is looking for every single day across this nation.
And this is who the protesters are demanding we coddle and protect.
Yeah.
But they don't want to look at it that way.
No, it's absolutely ridiculous that seems to be a consistent trend all across the nation, and not just. And then we've just had something like that happen in Missouri recently. I mean, fortunately, he's actually going to be facing some charges, which we'll see how long that actually holds. But I just can't believe that there are people out there when these are the exact types of people we're trying to prevent from harming anybody else, or even if it was harming another illegal immigrant. And then you have people thinking that they're being brave and noble, going and harassing ICE agents to stop that sort of nonsense.
Yep.
Upside down.
All right. A former St. Louis newscaster is in jail accused of killing her mother in Kansas. Oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Former Fox 2 anchor Angeline Mock is charged with first-degree murder for the stabbing death of 80-year-old Anita Avers. Mock is being held on $1 million bond. She was a morning anchor for Fox 2 from 2011 to 2015. Wow.
Yeah. I saw that story and I was like, who is this? And I didn't recognize the name. And I looked, of course, the mugshot definitely doesn't, ring a bell. And then I realized she went by Angie.
Okay.
It was Angie Mock.
Angie Mock, yeah.
And I do remember the name. I didn't know her. I knew people that worked there with her. So,
yeah, I've never actually met her. Yeah.
I don't know what went wrong in the intervening 10 years, but something did.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, but it sounds like the crime itself was just brutal. I mean, it's so bizarre.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, and matricide is not a very common sort of thing. So, I don't want to speculate anything, but I don't want to say there had to have been something going on because sometimes people could just snap. But I mean, that's just unfortunate all around.
Oh, yeah. Terrible.
Well, you get the impression that there may have been mental health issues.
Yeah. And a lot of people are commenting on the mugshot compared to when she was an anchor. Well, I mean, that was 10 years ago, but it's clearly something's off.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, but $1 million bond in Kansas. Yeah, just unbelievable. All right. Unemployment in Missouri is up compared to this time last year. About 14,400 jobless claims were filed in October. That's about 2,500 more than during the same period last year. Okay. The government shutdown and the Boeing strike are considered major factors of that increase because you probably look at about 3,000 of those are probably the Boeing workers. So that's going to make up a lot of the difference.
I would think so.
All right. Californians taking up a redistricting measure, Proposition 50, that could affect party power in the U.S. House of Representatives. Governor Gavin Newsom was on NBC's Meet the Press talking about it.
The people have spoken. Spoken so far in historic ways. It's a special election. We've seen unprecedented number of ballots already sent in.
Red State's been doing a lot on this particular one. I mean, if this passes, it might give the control of the House to the Democrats.
The people of California spoke several years ago when they voted to create this bipartisan commission, nonpartisan commission to do this, and now they're trying to do an end run around it. I don't know.
Yeah, if you ever want to know why we need initiative petition reform, although this wasn't a petition, this was, just a referendum, but the Proposition 50.
Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff they're going to vote on. So, but this, I mean, if this passes, this may be, at least for the next, couple of election cycles, this may be kind of checkmate on the whole gerrymander versus gerrymander thing. Yeah. Blues are back on home ice tonight, hoping to break a 7-game winless streak. They host the Oilers at Enterprise at 7:30. The Cardinals shortstop is golden. Mason Wynn becomes the youngest Cardinal ever to win a Gold Glove award.
Wow.
He is 23 years old.
Oh, he's a baby. It's my daughter's age.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, 23. So, congratulations to Mason Wynn.
Congrats.
Destination, making cold mind to fight your war. Stop right now.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Blow us all away. You wanna do that? Get up, in case you hear the
Hi, it's Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the largest RE/MAX franchise in the region. The summer housing market is hot, and the fall market looks to be as hot. If buying or selling a home is in your future, it is time to act now. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me, Mark Harder, for fast results. RE/MAX Results. 314-852-8933. 314-852-8933. And start packing.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time, make this free call now, and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, so let's talk about this SNAP welfare benefits thing. Okay. My understanding is that the EBT cards were not reloaded. They have not been reloaded.
Right.
But the court ruling said you have to do it even if you don't have legal authorization to do it. And I don't quite understand the ruling, but that's what the judge ruled.
There was 2 judges that ruled. There was one in Massachusetts and one in Rhode Island.
So 2 separate lawsuits?
2 separate lawsuits brought by 2 separate groups. And they both basically, the heart of it was, you got to figure out a way. Sorry. Too bad if your systems won't do it. Too bad if another law says you can't do it. I'm saying you should.
Now, I'm just a layman. My understanding, and please correct me and fill me in on this, Susie, is that the judges were supposed to look at just what the law itself says, regardless of the impact, just what the law itself says.
Correct.
And that sounds like that is not what they did here.
Well, okay. There are competing laws. There are different statutes in play. There's the Anti-Deficiency Act. There's the I can't think of the name of it, that was passed in 2024. There's competing laws, and both of these judges chose to interpret those competing laws in a way that said the government has to go ahead and use those emergency funds. Now, of course, that does nothing for next month because even with the emergency funds, there's not enough to cover even a full month. The judge in Rhode Island said, well, you're going to have to find it someplace else.
Wow.
Now, the government is, I don't want to steal thunder here, but the government is choosing not to appeal.
Right. Which basically is the Trump administration saying, hey, we wanted to pay these things out.
Yeah. I mean, I
You
think
know.
that's a strategy move too.
Yeah.
But I also think they realize that one way or another, it's going to get itself sorted out, and they can kind of end up being like the hapless, like, hey, we're just doing what the courts are telling us to do.
Well, and I mean, you don't want to be the one who fights really hard to not pay out the food
No,
stamps
I think
during
they had
the holidays.
I think they legitimately had to defend against the lawsuits
Right.
because I think there's a legal argument there that really does, and a practical argument there. But yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know what would happen if this were something that went up on appeal. I really don't.
Right.
I think it's going to end up sorting itself out.
Right.
But
Well, and Scott Bessent is saying that he thinks that something might start to get paid out by midweek. Maybe.
Yeah.
So basically, you got a whole bunch of IT folks who apparently have
Scrambling
not been, furloughed because of the shutdown.
Right.
Who are, I guess, feverishly trying to change programs and whatever else to load these EBT
What
cards.
could go wrong?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got Secretary Brooke Rollins,
Mhm.
Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, on what was she on? She was on Fox. She was on Fox, I think Fox and Friends Weekend. And she was talking about kind of what Jerome's been talking about from time to time here is the fraud and the waste on this. So here's part of what she said in that discussion.
Day one of USDA, February 13th, is we sent letters to every governor in America being very clear that no illegal aliens can use SNAP. 0, 0, 0. We asked every state for the first time in history, and this was in February, to send us their data and let us, with Doge and a war room, actually start going through this data to better understand how this explosion of SNAP benefits happened under Joe Biden. We increased almost 40% on this program in just a couple of years under the Biden administration. Of course, we know they were trying to buy the election, but that's a conversation for another time. And since we have asked for that data, 29 states have complied. Of course, almost all the red states, a couple of couple blue states too. But in that data, and I haven't talked about this yet publicly, in that data we've studied about $100 billion in spend. We have found thousands and thousands of illegal use of the EBT card. We have been moving people off of SNAP. We've got almost 700,000 people, I think, we've moved off just since the president took office. We've arrested about 118 people. So this has been ongoing. But Rachel, to your point, what this conversation has allowed is a national spotlight on a broken and corrupt program.
Jump ball.
So I want to just touch on sorry.
I was going to jump ball, whoever.
I got it. Sorry, Susie.
No, I wasn't even going for it.
You're not getting the jump ball over the 6'5" guy.
Yeah. So there are a couple things though that so the idea of the illegals accessing SNAP benefits, I've looked into that. It's not necessarily that illegal immigrants themselves are the ones that are going into there and getting the benefit, but it is oftentimes that they are in a household where the wife may be or husband could be a legal citizen, or it could be two illegals that have a kid that is a birthright citizen that got to an age where now the kid, because the kid is eligible for SNAP benefits, they do get SNAP benefits. That's part of the actual SNAP program. And I think if it would be more accurate, though, to say non-citizen instead of illegal, because refugees and asylum seekers are also a big part of SNAP recipients.
Sure.
And people don't realize that. But this is from 2023, 1.764 million non-citizens received SNAP benefits to the cost of around $5.7 billion. So there are multiple groups that are not legally citizens that are not supposed to be here for very long. I mean, with refugee and asylum,
or they're here legally, but not citizens.
But temporarily. Yeah.
Right.
They're not supposed to be of that sort of thing. And they are still getting access to all of this. And then, of course, we found out last week, 30% of Missouri's own report, 30% of people on SNAP right now are not listed as disabled, elderly, or children. And so that becomes a sort of philosophical thing. Because I've been broke and struggling, and I was told, nope, you're not broke enough to get these things, but we can still take your taxes to pay for somebody else's thing.
Oh, right. I'm sure there've been plenty of times I would have qualified. I mean, I was a single dad of 2 kids for 14 years. I'm sure there were times I could have. I was working 3 jobs at one point. I've been there, folks. Believe me, I've been there. I'm sure I never applied for it, but I figured out a way.
Yeah. I mean, you do want to make sure that the people that are here legally and that may legally have a right to or have the ability to or be allowed to avail themselves of the program are able to. So you don't want to make it, you don't want to go in with a sledgehammer. But I think Rollins is making a very good point. I mean, in the middle of all this, we do need to be looking at why we're spending so much on these programs. What can we do to move people, citizens or not, off these programs so they're not dependent on it?
Well, yeah, and to that point, I mean, she mentioned 700,000 people moved off the program. That's going to be the difference in how we look at it. Those of us on the right go, great.
That's awesome.
They're pushed into self-sufficiency, either by choice or not. But the other part is the actual taxpayers who are paying for this have the load lightened on them because somebody who shouldn't have been getting it in the first place are now not getting it. Whereas I would suspect a lot of people on the left, like, how cruel can you be to kick 700,000 people off of food?
Yep. That is right there in a nutshell what the difference is.
Now, I don't know if this is another clip you have, but Finnerty, I believe his name is, from Newsmax, was going down and breaking down.
Rob Finnerty.
Yeah, and he was breaking down the actual statistics. And I mean, there are, again, legal immigrants that come here and then they end up on SNAP. And it's like 56 or 58% of Afghani legal people and such like that, too. So there is an issue with not just the fact of people that are down, like, the economy can turn, you lose your job, like we saw.
Sure.
And that's totally, I have no problem with those people being temporarily assisted. But again, it should be a trampoline, not a hammock. And when you have people that are coming here legally, and then now it's, well, we can't afford to live here, even though we immigrated here, and now we need SNAP benefits, that's still going to be a burden on the taxpayers.
Well, here's some other things the Secretary Rollins said that they found. Again, this is from Fox and Friends Weekend.
We found one guy in 6 different states getting a benefit. We found about 5,000 people that are dead who are still getting benefits. Like, it is time to drastically reform this program so that we can make sure that those who are truly needy, truly vulnerable, are getting what they need, and the rest of the corruption goes away and we can serve the American taxpayer.
500,000 people who are dead?
5,000.
Oh, 5,000. Well, even so, I mean, I realized that they voted. I didn't realize that they ate too.
That's right.
Yeah, and I could be wrong about this. I'll have to go do a little bit of research, but I think she was talking about how early in February they kind of went through this, I think that was one of the lawsuits that was brought, was to challenge their request for information so that they could go through the system and find out who was on there that wasn't supposed to be on there. That's one of several lawsuits that were filed over that issue.
Yeah, they wanted names and social security numbers. Yeah.
So that's been challenged in court, and I'll have to go back and look and see where that one is in the process. But it's like, okay, you don't want the system run efficiently. You don't want us to take people off it that aren't supposed to be on it. You want to add people to the country and people that are dependent on it, but you don't want.
I mentioned before, I think we've all been either at a convenience store or a grocery store, and we've seen the abuse right in front of us. I mean, we've seen, we've seen somebody using.
I haven't.
Oh, really? Oh, my goodness.
Maybe
I've
just
seen it. I've seen it multiple times, loading up with food that I could never afford, probably not even now. And using EBT or food stamps to get, steak and really expensive stuff. But the worst I ever saw, and it was a tiny, tiny purchase. This was probably, 15 years ago. I'm at a convenience store. Or gas station. So I fill up my gas, I go in to get whatever. And there's a dude there who's trying to get one of the fountain drinks, which I guess at the time you could buy with food stamps. And his card got declined. He goes, oh, wait, I got a bunch of others. And he had the EBT cards from like 3 different states right there, and it kept swiping until one. And he didn't have, and by the way, the car that he was driving was a whole lot nicer than mine. I'll just put it that way. But I was like 15 years ago, and I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah. So I've actually worked at Walmart as a cashier. So I've seen, the different programs.
You definitely have seen it.
So believe me when I tell you this, but yeah, so part of the issue as well is that, people will say, well, you can't use SNAP for alcohol. You can't use it for this, but you can use SNAP to get the food you want and then pay your own money.
Right.
And that is functionally
fungible.
Yeah, it's fungible. And so that's something that I've experienced as well. I've also known people personally where they would work a seasonal job that pays extremely well. I mean, they're making more than I'm making working full, all the months of the year, but because they would be out of work for a certain period of time when the season came to an end, they could then qualify for unemployment and for SNAP benefits and all that stuff. So you physically have in cash the amount of money you would need to pay for it yourself, but because you know that that's an option for you, then you take advantage of that system.
Well, you need snacks when you go to Aruba.
Yeah, and you're going to be out of work for about a
point.
month or two. And so, of course, you're going to need that to get through. And then you can pocket and save and do whatever you want with the other money you have. So that's another part of the element that I don't think makes enough of the mainstream news talking points. Right. That it's not that somebody's putting a fake identity down, getting all this money, and then going to a grocery store and saying, I'm going to buy all the lottery tickets and all the alcohol I want. But there are ways that you can abuse the system to pay for those things out of your own pocket because you know you're going to be fed.
Why is it, Susie, why is this so hard? I know we just got a minute or so here, but why is this so hard to say, no, reforming and preventing abuse and fraud? Why is it so hard to balance that with compassion, that people want this program to have? Now, again, I think a government top-down program is not the way to do that, and it's the least compassionate way to do it because it creates dependency. But let's take everybody's best case scenario, most generous thoughts. People who really want SNAP to be there are many people who say, well, it just serves more people that this is taking care of our fellow Americans. Okay, I get the mindset. Why is it so hard to talk about reform and busting fraud and abuse and waste? Why is it so hard to have that in the same conversation to make sure that the people who need it get it?
Because we're locked in the battle of politics as team sports. Yeah. And so if you take one side, you've got to oppose it on the other side, even though if you just took the partisan part of it out of it and just talked about the topic, most people would probably be pretty close to one another and agreeing on what should be done.
Yeah. So what happens in the news versus what happens in the coffee shop where you cannot use an EBT card? I don't think. Then the two very, very different conversations.
Yeah, they are. They are very much so. You know what? They've made a list. We've made a list, and we're checking it twice because your city or your school district may be trying to sneak a tax increase in place tomorrow. Is yours on the list? We'll find out.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
People talk about federal money as if it falls from heaven. We thank heaven for it, but it came out of people's pockets.
On News Talk STL. If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A fast-moving weather pattern brings a series of fronts through our area this week, but only one of those fronts brings a chance of rain. That's not going to happen until late Thursday night into Friday. So a lot of dry time this week and a warming trend. Sunny skies today, 64 for the high, with a dry front shifting winds out of the northwest at 7 to 12 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tonight, low of 44 in St. Louis. Mostly sunny Tuesday with a warmer high at 71. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chase.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Dad, that's what Grandpa Rip always said.
That's right. 50 years ago, Grandpa started Grasser. And whenever a customer called, he'd smile and say, hey, it's good to see you.
Hey, it's good to see you.
It was his way of treating people like neighbors, not numbers. That's why we still say it today.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeServices.com.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Jamie Ullman here with the great Eric Swanson of Newstedter's Fine Jewelers, Doherty Ferry, and Big Bend. Tell me about Wow Diamonds.
Wow Diamonds. We call them that because when people come in and look at the diamonds, everyone says, wow. We feature those in natural diamonds, the mine diamonds. They're perfectly cut, polished, and proportioned. Not all diamonds come out of the cutting process the same, and ours are perfect. That's why they're called Wow Diamonds.
Newstedter's Fine Jewelers right there at Doherty Ferry and Big Bend, wowdiamonds.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
Today's story behind the story, the firestorm that threatened to destroy downtown St. Louis.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
16, I found my dream machine. Turn the key and every light turned green. Like Steve McQueen, I made the motor scream and it was loud.
Hey, folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, I'm going to hit this a few times today. I want everybody to remind us, I am asking everybody to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, tomorrow is tax increase election day in several parts of the metro.
It is.
Okay, so I am asking you to make sure, like, for instance, where I live, where my house is, Richmond Heights, nothing on the ballot.
Same in St. Charles.
Yeah.
Well, same in St. Peter's.
Well, yeah, there's nothing in St. Charles at all. St. Charles County at all.
Yeah.
Nothing. I looked. But I'm asking everybody to make sure that you know, because these are the elections that get single digit turnouts of registered voters. Yep. So here's where we are with this. Just a reminder. And at 8:05, Niles Stevens from Mo Tax Relief Now is going to be with us to go over some of this as well, and more reasons why we need to make sure that we get out there. By the way, it's 6:35. Our automatic clock didn't change. I'm looking at this like, man, we're halfway through. No, we're not halfway through the show. I'm like, where'd the time go? Didn't go anywhere. The clock just didn't reset.
Love the fact that like watches and phones and computers do that for you.
My microwave clock threw me off this morning too. So I thought I was late.
I fixed that one yesterday.
Okay. So here's where we're at. Bellefontaine neighbors. They have a 3% tax increase on the wacky tobacco, on the devil's lettuce.
Okay.
Yes. On the herbal medicine. On the fragrance.
We could be here all morning, Mike.
The fragrance of St. Louis, the official.
The alternate names.
That's right. So 3%. So basically, after that court ruling that said that cities, not counties, can impose that 3% tax, unless it's unincorporated. So Bellefontaine neighbors is just getting in on the action here. That's what they're doing. So if you don't smoke the wacky tobacco, you're not going to be affected. If you do, then you're going to be affected.
What if you just smell it because all your neighbors do?
Yeah, that's for free. That's free.
Yay.
You know, it's like Jimmy John's. Smells are free.
You sound a little too excited about that. Now, wasn't there just something where they found that they were double taxing marijuana, and so they were like, "Hey, we're going to choose not to do that."
Right. Well, okay, exactly. So what happened was when that amendment passed, and we actually had one of the guys who wrote it in the studio with us, and so we were asking about that. And his answer at the time was, the courts will figure it out. We're like, that's not good policy. That's not how you're supposed to. So what happened is all the cities immediately rushed to add the sales tax, but so did a bunch of counties. And they said, hey, there's nothing that says that you can't layer it. And the courts eventually ruled that no, you can do one and the cities get first bite.
Okay.
Now, like for instance, St. Louis County tried to do that, and then they got their tax increase bumped off. So unless the dispensary is in an unincorporated area, then they can do it.
That makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
So that's
and St. Louis County has how many different little municipalities? Was it like 98?
89? It's like 80, 88, 89, something like that. Yeah. Because there have been 2 or 3 that have dissolved in the last couple of years. And there's been a number that have dissolved over the years.
Yeah.
So just naturally on that. Okay. So that in Veneta Park just wants a sales tax increase. They just want more money. Okay. It's not for anything. It's just general revenue sales tax increase. Okay. Creve Coeur and Ladue and Festus. If you live in any of these cities, they have what they're calling a use tax. Basically, they want you to make it more expensive to buy stuff off of Amazon and add a tax to your own online purchases. That's what they're asking you to do. So if you want to make your life more expensive, then you can vote for those. But those are tax increases or creation of taxes. So basically, like for instance, I went and I bought something off of Walmart over the weekend, and actually they had delivery, so I could get it same day. I don't think this would have applied. Yeah, it might have, because they just delivered it from the local Walmart, so I don't know if it would apply or not. Other than the sales tax that was already collected. It didn't work. I just sent it back anyway, but whatever. But if you want, this is what they're doing, is just making something else more expensive, and then school districts, Melville and Rockwood, they have property tax increases on the ballot.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people talking about the Rockwood one.
Rockwood is the biggest of these. And so my guess as to what you're seeing here is you've got school districts that are run by, these are run by fairly smart bureaucrats who generally have a terrible worldview on everything. But they're looking at around Missouri and going, there is a massive anti-tax sentiment right now. And they are talking about permanently capping tax increases. They're talking about getting rid of property. They're talking about the gravy train for the teachers unions and the administrators being cut off. And so they are putting a tax increase on the least likely to be voted on ballot. That's not accidental.
No, of course not.
Yeah. I mean, what they're hoping is you can just tell the booster club, make sure everybody goes out and votes and pass it.
Who else is going to go out?
It's in November. Who's gonna care about that? That's why you need to make sure that if this is on your ballot, that you're there to vote against it.
Now, our good friend Matt says that Oakville, Melville district, that it is a tax increase, but they're trying to claim it's an extension and not an increase, which might be a little bit deceptive of what people think. But rest assured, it is, in fact, an increase in tax.
Yeah, the question reads as such. Shall the Board of Education of the Melville R9 School District, St. Louis County, Missouri, be authorized to continue the existing operational levy and assessed valuation according to the assessment? And I'm reading right from the ballot issue. And increase the operating levy by an additional 0.024 per $100 of assessed valuation according to the 2025 assessment. Such increase is expected to be offset by an expected decrease of assessed valuation in debt service. So that's what they're claiming is
expected.
Yeah, not promised, expected. But there's the continuation. That's true. That's what they're saying. But they're saying, well, just increase the tax here because trust us, you increase the taxes here, you're not actually going to pay more.
Okay.
Then don't increase the tax. If you save money on the debt service, then lower the tax bill for your citizens. So, by the way, if you retire one debt and say, but we want to keep the same tax rate to do something else, that's a new tax.
Yeah.
Because the tax would have gone away.
Yep.
So I understand the mental gymnastics they're doing there, Susie, but it's still a tax increase.
Right.
Yep. And Rockwood, just on principle, I want to see this thing go down. I don't know if it's going to happen, but we'll see.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, because we'll be reporting on that on Wednesday.
Yes.
In a big, big way. And then Clayton, they do not have a tax increase on the ballot, but they have a charter amendment.
Okay.
Actually, some charter amendments. So here's the way it reads. Shall the amendments to the Clayton City Charter as proposed and more fully set forth in ordinance number 6946 relating to changing the name of the Board of Aldermen to City Council and adopting other gender-neutral language, updating and simplifying administrative and procedural provisions and clarifying term limits, vacancy elections, and compensation procedures for elected officials be approved. So
that's probably going to pass. I mean, they're selling it as like an efficiency thing.
Yeah.
So regardless of people's ideological perspectives on gender neutral, whatever, that's probably going to pass.
Yeah. And it's not going to hurt your wallet.
No.
As far as I can tell, it's just a matter of,
and if you're really invested in calling it Board of Aldermen versus City Council,
right?
Maybe you need a different hobby.
Yeah. And see, I always thought that maybe I'm wrong about this, but I thought alderman was like smaller towns have aldermen, bigger towns have city councils, but maybe it's just whatever I've heard like
about St. Louis City. That has
that's true. They have a Board of Aldermen. Yeah.
I don't know what the distinction is.
I don't know what the distinction.
So I'm not invested in it one way or the other.
I was elected to a Board of Aldermen. We did what city councils do.
Must have been big thanks.
Hey, I got paid. We got paid like $100 a month.
Hey,
I mean, it was big money right there. I'm telling
you.
And then there's like Board of Trustees. I've seen supervisors.
Supervisors is big in California. I know.
Yeah,
for sure.
In New England, I saw some of that in Pennsylvania over last weekend. No, not last week. The weekend before.
Yeah. I don't really understand all the intricacies of it, but if Clayton wants to call it the City Council,
I don't care.
Knock yourselves out.
Yeah, the Clayton one, who cares? I mean, if they had things to clear up on it, okay, fine. I still think you should put these on the April ballot, though.
Yeah, I mean, it seems silly to have that be the one that, I don't know.
They're spending money on this election.
Yeah, when you could wrap it into something else.
Right. You could just put it on in the April election when there already is one out there.
Yeah.
And that's why Ben Keithley and I disagreed a little bit on that because I say just get rid of this off the calendar. Just, get rid of the option to have this election. And Nick Schroer texted me and said he's filing that bill this coming session to get rid of some of these extraneous, dates where nobody knows about them and they're not going to show it.
It does seem wasteful.
I think so. And Ben said, well, there could be a time of emergency. We should keep the option open. So he's not wrong.
I guess I see that.
Yeah. But the point of having this on the ballot or having this available is to put stuff on the ballot that most people aren't going to know about.
Right.
Or potentially not going to be able to have time to get off work and to go and head out there.
Right.
Exactly.
Now, a former St. Louis anchor is behind bars, accused of a violent crime. We've got the details in the news dump at 6:50.
I found my dream machine. Turn the key and every light turned green. Like Steve McQueen, I made the motor scream and it was loud.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
They were drinking water out of the toilet.
on News Talk STL.
Are you searching for an excellent new vehicle or a great deal on a used one? Then check out Tyler Trineri, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Tim Jones here to tell you what loyal Tyler Trineri customers already know. Every new vehicle and select used ones come with an exclusive lifetime warranty. And Tyler Trineri has a service department second to none. I should know. I've been a loyal and happy customer for years. For the best price, selection, and the amazing lifetime warranty, check out Tyler Trineri today, right off Interstate 44 in beautiful Pacific, Missouri. Online at TylerTrineri.com, TylerTrineri.com.
St. Louis, it's here. The bigger than Black Friday at Renewal by Anderson. For a limited time, get the biggest dollars off savings of 2025. $330 off every window. $830 off every patio or entry door. Plus, you may have no payments and zero interest. Renewal by Anderson. Unprecedented winner of the prestigious J.D. Power Award for customers 6 years in a row. Renewal by Anderson, full service window and door replacement division of Anderson, a name you've trusted for more than 122 years. $330 off every window, $830 off every patio or entry door. Schedule your consultation today at rbastl.com or call 877-WINDOWS. 877-WINDOWS. Renewal by Anderson. Award-winning quality, bigger savings, smarter investment.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right, as we head into the holidays, this government shutdown eventually is going to affect a lot more people than what we realize. Now, I'm still loving the fact that there are a lot of people who are going, this government shutdown hadn't changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, eventually it's going to affect us, but probably in terms of airline travel.
Yeah. And I did a little mini investigation. I went around several different places.
Yeah.
I mean, grocery stores, convenience stores, gas stations, such. I'm like, hey, do you think that with the government shutdown and the EBT maybe not being, refunded, are you guys expecting any of the sort of troubles that we're seeing on social media? And almost every single person was like, wait, the government shut down? When did that happen? I'm like, it's been over a month now. Why is it shut? What's going on? So I guess that's a good sign. But
that is a good sign. That actually is a good sign.
Yeah.
I'm still not happy Congress is getting paid though.
Yeah.
Well, hey, credit where credit's due. There have been several who have said withhold it. I'm not, including Bob Onder.
Including Bob Onder.
Yep. All right. Also, a former St. Louis news anchor is in jail, and she is accused of a heinous crime. I mean, this is crazy. And boy, I tell you, the Cardinals season didn't go the way we wanted, but one of the players is golden at this point. All right, 7:48. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you.
The morning news dump. Are you joking? Is this a joke? Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
All right. By the way, speaking of gold gloves, which we'll get to here in a few minutes, have you seen up here on Westport Plaza Road? They're building a giant Rawlings gold glove, like to look like the Gold Glove trophy, but this thing is massive.
I saw a picture of it because a friend of mine works in Westport.
Yeah.
And put it on Facebook. Yep.
They're constructing it right now. I mean, it's probably 25 feet tall.
Wow.
It's really, really big. It may be even taller than that. I found out over the weekend that is going to go on top of the building where Rawlings is there in Westport. Now I'm thinking, how are they going to get it up there? I know there's cranes that big, but do you know how much that thing's got to weigh and how big it's got to be just to withstand the wind at that level? I mean, if you drive by Westport Plaza, like you're going to go past on the side that Trainwreck Saloon and all that's on, just drive down that road and you'll see the parking lot they're constructing it. This thing is massive.
Jeez.
Absolutely massive. Yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, the big golden baseball in front of the Rawlings headquarters. Okay. Proportionally, this glove could catch that ball.
So why don't they just put the ball inside the glove and put that out front instead of putting it on top? I mean,
well, because you'll see it from much further away.
Right.
On the top of the building.
Drunk people aren't going to walk into it up at the top there.
True.
Yeah. At least they shouldn't. All right. The government shut down over a month now. We're day 34? 34. Yep. It's putting a strain on air travel. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy was on ABC's This Week commenting on that.
We will delay, we will cancel any kind of flight across the national airspace to make sure people are safe. But there is a level of risk that gets injected into the system when we have a controller that's doing two jobs instead of one.
Interesting take there, Susie, because we've talked about, they're not getting paid. And they haven't now for a few weeks. Yeah, a month. And so what we're hearing is that they're doing like DoorDash, they're doing Grubhub, they're going to work part-time. And so, in addition to their 8, 10, 11-hour day, whatever they've got now, they're also working somewhere else. So the secretary's got a point there.
Yeah. And I mean, as someone who's basically working 12-hour days, that can take a toll over time.
Yeah, without a doubt. So we've already seen long lines. Atlanta was the video that I saw over the weekend that they said there were 3-hour lines in the TSA.
Eesh.
Oh my goodness. So expect that to become the norm. And even if they get things sorted out, because we're hearing rumors it could be this week, but I don't know. We've heard others say it'll probably last through the rest of the month. But the bottom line is there's going to be a backlog of stuff. So it's going to take a little bit to clear out. President Trump says Republicans are not interested in compromising with Democrats right now.
With the shutdown entering its 6th week, the president said he won't be extorted by Democrats. Appearing on CBS's 60 Minutes, he said that Democrats who are demanding an extension in health care subsidies have lost their way and predicted that they will eventually capitulate to Republicans. The president said if Democrats don't vote to reopen the government, it's their problem. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And again, I think the president's right, and I think the Republicans are right to be holding firm here.
Yeah. And I don't see any cracks in their facade, if you will.
Now, one of the things related to the government shutdown that SeaWorld said is that air traffic control should be funded by user fees instead of taxes. And I think that, at least from my perspective, a lot of the services that we've been experiencing, issues with things that we have to pay, the private sector for anyways. I mean, wouldn't it make sense to move some of these programs to the private sector so that way they're not contingent on the government working to...
The libertarian in me loves that. The Politico in me says if it's that essential, there should be some kind of, Congress may be some of the most non-essential people we have in the country, and they still get paid automatically. Right. There should be some, if they're essential, then there should be something where that's not right. Because I really get what she's saying there. I really am. And in a perfect world, I think that's right. I would love to see us move towards something like that, or a hybrid or something. The reality is that our government and generally we collectively have decided that air travel is critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
And so that's I think why it's treated that way and federally done, because that's what we've decided.
Well, and you have to take into consideration shipping as well.
Right.
I mean, it's not just passengers traveling, it's also the shipping of goods that goes, and those are planes in the sky that have to be controlled by air traffic control too.
True.
So there is, I know, it like you say, I can see both sides of that argument.
I love the suggestion. I really do. And do I think in our politics that's ever going to happen? I doubt it. There's a lot of things that should happen that are never going to happen as well. Okay, this is interesting. President Trump said Sunday that his administration is considering deploying troops to or carrying out airstrikes in Nigeria amid violence against Christians from radical Islamic groups, including Boko Haram. He tells journalists aboard Air Force One that the U.S. is not going to stand by.
They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that to happen.
Okay, so the Trump administration adding Nigeria to the countries of particular concern list of nations that violate religious freedom, and that list also includes China and North Korea. The president told the Pentagon to draft a plan. Nigeria says U.S. military aid must respect its sovereignty.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's a point at which that gets put by the wayside.
Yeah.
We're talking about genocides. I don't know. That's a very, very fraught situation.
Yeah.
But I also think that he's using the bully pulpit
Mhm.
to make a point.
Yeah.
Which hopefully will have the desired effect.
Hopefully without our troops going into an unstable place like Nigeria.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of worries about that.
Yep.
You know. All right. A former St. Louis newscaster is in jail accused of killing her mother in Kansas. Good God. Former Fox 2 anchor Angie Mock is charged with first-degree murder for the stabbing death of 80-year-old Anita Avers. Mock is being held on a $1 million bond. She was morning anchor for Fox 2 from 2011 to 2015. So that actually would have been during like the Ferguson riots and things like that area. So she was she was here for, I guess, 11 to 15. That'd be 5 years.
Yeah.
So she was here for quite a while. I guess, I kind of remember her, but I didn't. The name didn't jump right out at me, but once I saw some pictures, I'm like, okay, I kind of remember her. But yeah, it's what the police are describing in Sedgwick County, Kansas, which is basically Wichita, is a brutal stabbing of her mother in her bed.
Yeah. I don't know, obviously, the details, but it sounds to me like there were, as I said earlier, maybe some mental health issues going on. I don't know. I guess we'll find out more, but what a disturbing story.
Yeah. And $1 million bond in Southwest Kansas. That's a lot of money out there. All right. The assassin of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, will soon face trial. Cameras, as you told us the other day, Susie, not going to be allowed in the courtroom. Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, had an exclusive interview with Fox's Jesse Waters talking about whether she thinks there should be cameras in the courtroom.
There's nothing to hide. I know there's not, because I've seen what the case is built on. Let everyone see what true evil is. This is something that could impact a generation and generations to come.
That full interview is going to air Wednesday on Jesse Waters prime time at 7:00 our time.
Be interesting to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've seen a few clips of it. So, and they did the interview on the Charlie Kirk show's set.
Okay.
Yep. So that's the backdrop.
Yeah.
Is where he did his podcast.
Well, I think she has a point. I understand what she's saying, but I also understand the desire not to have it turn into a media circus.
Right.
We've seen that happen before too.
We have. Yep. All right. Let's see here. Blues back on home ice tonight. They're hoping to break a 7-game winless streak. They host the Oilers at Enterprise. That is a 7:30 puck drop. Cardinals shortstop gets the gold. Mason Wynn becomes the youngest Cardinal in team history to win a Gold Glove award. He is 23 years old.
So wow.
Yep. So hopefully the first of many.
Yeah, well, and hopefully they can build off that and around that success, because they need a shot in the arm.
They need a lot. Yeah, exactly. All right. After a bye week, Mizzou heads into this week still in the top 20 in both major polls. The AP has the Tigers 19th in the country. The coaches poll ranks them at 17. The Tigers are gearing up to play another top contender for the overall championship. They got a tough game this week.
They do.
Third ranked Texas A&M is going to be in Columbia on Saturday.
Ooh, that'll be a good game.
The Aggies, because Mizzou just about knocked off Alabama. So we'll see what happens with Texas A&M. Mizzou's just this close to like breaking out of that program, and I think moving into top 10. I don't think it's going to be this year, but soon.
Hey, folks, the Clayton Sleep Institute and my friend Dr. Ojal back supporting free common sense conservative radio. ClaytonSleep.com, treating the full range of adult and pediatric sleep disorders from sleep apnea to insomnia, restless leg syndrome, periodic limb movement, and narcolepsy. What an awesome place. New comfy setting for the sleep lab. ClaytonSleep.com, 314-645-5855. Better sleep, better life.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With US Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
US Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Government shutdown day 34. Tied for the longest closure ever, it is having an impact on some Americans, including air travelers suffering flight delays and cancellations.
Sean Duffy, the Transport Secretary, has predicted that unless there is a solution, a resolution of this impasse that we're seeing in Congress with no agreement over the spending bill, that the situation as it applies to air travelers is only going to get worse. And of course, there's a knock-on effect to that. If people can't get to their destinations, it's going to affect business in America, the way that companies operate. It could affect tourism as well, because this isn't confined only to domestic flights. International flights coming into the country or leaving America are also affected.
The BBC's Peter Bowes food aid for tens of millions is also under threat. President Trump is threatening Nigeria with military action over the persecution of Christians.
Upset with what he calls the mass slaughter of Christians, the president said he's ordered the Pentagon to begin planning for potential military action in Nigeria. He wrote on social media that the U.S. may very well go into Nigeria, guns ablazing, to stop the killing. The president also warned that he will immediately stop all aid and assistance to the West African nation. Greg Clugston, Washington.
A 32-year-old British man faces attempted murder and other charges following a stabbing attack on a train that wounded 11 people in England. The suspect, identified as Anthony Williams, also allegedly assaulted people at a London mass transit station before the stabbing attack on the train. 2 people have been killed in Russia's latest attack on Ukraine, targeting the country's power grid. On Wall Street, the Dow futures are up 7 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 167. S&P futures 22 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Every time I turn around, my friends at Pure Talk give me one more reason to feel good about switching. This month, for instance, they're supporting Canines for Warriors, a terrific organization that trains rescue dogs and then pairs them up with combat veterans struggling with PTSD. The result? They're saving lives on both ends of the leash. This is why I switched to Pure Talk. I like being in business with an American wireless company who shares my values. Yeah, I appreciate unlimited talk, text, and plenty of 5G data for just $25 a month, and I bet you will too. But I think you'll really appreciate doing business with a company who gives back to the men and women who volunteered to defend our country. Just dial pound 250, say micro. With Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team, you can switch in as little as 10 minutes. Again, dial pound 250, say micro, to switch to an American wireless company who actually stands for something.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A fast-moving weather pattern brings a series of fronts through our area this week, but only one of those fronts brings a chance of rain. That's not going to happen until late Thursday night into Friday. So a lot of dry time this week and a warming trend. Sunny skies today, 64 for the high, with a dry front shifting winds out of the northwest at 7 to 12 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tonight, low of 44 in St. Louis. Mostly sunny Tuesday with a warmer high at 71. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Yes, it's been really hot and humid, but fall and winter right around the corner. Tim Jones here to tell you, time to get a hold of Chad Hansen and the gang at Hansen's Tree Service for your home or your business. Grinding, land clearing, green waste recycling, tree consulting, removal, or pruning. The organic mulch from Hansen's a wonderful addition to beautify and spruce up all your landscape beds. They offer substantial volume discounts for bulk orders and emergency tree removal. Just go to hansenstree.com. That's hansenstree.com.
This December 13th, join Wreaths Across America at Belle Reve Gardens Cemetery as we remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach our children the value of freedom. Help us lay remembrance wreaths on the graves of our fallen heroes. Sponsor a wreath, volunteer, or bring your family to this meaningful tribute to our veterans, because every hero deserves to be remembered. Learn more and sponsor a wreath. Visit NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Susie Moore.
They look very aggressive. I think they want to beat me up.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now. Believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
Oops. I got some Kofifi on my 8 o'clock hour show sheet. Oh, well.
Oh, better that than on the computer.
Getting into it, man. Just telling you.
8 o'clock's canceled.
I wasn't. Yeah. Okay. All right. Boy, I tell you, I want to, we don't know a lot, but this whole thing with Angie Mock.
Yeah.
Good God.
Really,
This sounds brutal. Yeah. So this is going to being on like one of those true crime channels.
Oh, yeah.
At some point. Somebody's writing the movie script about it right now. She used to bring St. Louis the news on TV. Now prosecutors are bringing charges against her. So Angie Mock, I guess either she lives or her mom lives in the Wichita, Kansas area. And on Friday, they got a call to her mom's house on a cutting. And so they went there and found her mother, Anita Avers, stabbed multiple times.
Oof.
And took her to the hospital. I don't know if she was already dead or if they pronounced her dead at the hospital. So, and then Angie Mock, who was the former Channel 2 news anchor, arrested, being held on $1 million bond. $1 million bond. It didn't say cash only, but just $1 million bond.
Right.
On that. And obviously when she left St. Louis like 10 years ago. So
yeah.
You look, and what's interesting is because all the other news channels are posting this as news, which it is. I don't think Channel 2 is doing that. I get it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't reflect anything on Channel 2.
No, of course not. Of course not. But yeah, I think maybe from a professional standpoint, they probably should cover it, just basically
They
just
should.
acknowledge.
I was actually, when I used to work at an NBC affiliate, not here in St. Louis, but in another city, and our chief meteorologist got arrested.
Ooh.
And he was accused of domestic violence.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was all over the other stations.
Of course.
We're looking at his mug and looking at his mugshot on there. And to be real candid, a lot of us didn't care for him to start with.
Okay.
And we're like, there was always like
Maybe good reason for
something.
that.
Yeah, it was like there's something we just didn't, one, because they booted the chief meteorologist that we really liked, and replaced him with this guy that we didn't really like. And then shortly after getting there, he's accused of that, and the other stations ran with it. They had it all over the place.
I think it's different too when the person is currently employed with a station than versus a former employee, because then you have to deal about like from an HR perspective and there's a lot of legalities that you have to worry about, because you have to think about, okay, is this person going to lose their job? So I can understand being extra cautious in that circumstance. With this one, I think it would be appropriate to report on it in a 5 W's straightforward way and just acknowledge it.
Yeah, because it was interesting, because in the newsroom, we the general thing is like, I can't believe they're doing it. That's such a cheap shot. And I remember thinking, Is it?
That's
I
not
mean, he's a
cheap
public figure.
shot.
That's news.
No, that's news. That's local news.
Yeah, Angie Mock was a public figure here for years,
Mhm.
so I think it is interesting to people. So I don't think it's a cheap shot. That's just covering the news. If a public figure has something like that
Yeah.
happen, that is news.
Well, and to be quite honest, the crime itself is so heinous
Yeah.
that it's kind of one of those things that might make national news anyway, just
Yep.
because it's kind of, as Jerome was mentioning earlier, it's kind of not
Yeah.
unheard of, but it's very rare.
Yeah.
And this is a pretty serious and awful situation. So
Right. And frankly, our fascination with true crime stories
Mhm.
is basically getting to an unhealthy level already in this country.
Been there for a long time.
I mean, hey, what's the number one category of podcast?
True crime.
True crime. Some of the most popular. I mean, there broadcast here in St. Louis. There's like a whole true crime broadcast channel.
Well, and I can understand that because
Yeah.
it kind of it engages you. You're
Yeah.
you're thinking through, you're trying to solve the crime. It's like a mystery. So
Yeah.
I can understand why people are really drawn to that.
Oh yeah, yeah. And this has all the elements of something that people are going to
Mhm.
be fascinated by. Don't be surprised if it like ends up on like court TV or
Oh, I'm
something
sure it
like
will.
that. That
Kinda
sort
like
of
the
thing.
Pam Hupp thing.
Right, right. And she's a lot of people are commenting on the mugshot because she looks very different than she did 10 years ago when she was all made up for the
Course.
news anchor thing. And so there are some people that are focusing where the focus should not be, because she looks pretty rough
Yeah.
without a doubt, but I don't know what she's doing for a living now.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns there.
Yeah.
And something clearly has gone terribly, terribly wrong.
Right. But if they've got the right person, if she did it, lock her up.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah.
and I don't know I don't care how much you get along or don't get along with your parents. Maybe I'm out of the loop because I got along fine with my parents, but what's it take to get you to want to do that to somebody who's 80 years old and completely defenseless?
Well, and not only that, I mean, stabbing is such a personal
Yeah.
act of violence. I mean, I don't, something's got to be terribly, terribly amiss for someone to decide that's what they're going to do.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure there'll be lots of updates on this throughout the, coming weeks
sure.
or so as well. So first degree murder charges, by the way, first degree murder charges.
Yeah.
So did you see there was this rally in Staunton?
I did not.
Yeah. Okay. So Staunton, about 300 people were protesting ICE in Staunton. Now you may say, okay, well, who cares? We don't even cover the Chicago protest every day, which by the way, there was more of those too. But here's what happened is late last week, ICE swooped in and they took into custody Ismail Ayuso Sandoval, who ICE says has been in the country illegally for like 20 years.
Okay.
So apparently he owns a restaurant or a diner there in Staunton that's really popular. Dropping his kid off at school, gets picked up by ICE. And so they were having a big protest and demand and demand that he be released, because he's been around there for, 20 years or so. I'm looking at the story on Channel 5, which tries to make it as sympathetic as possible to him. It's funny because they in the story, these are back-to-back paragraphs.
Okay.
Sandoval's current immigration or residency status remains unclear. Period.
Okay.
Next paragraph. An ICE spokesperson said Sandoval repeatedly crossed into the United States illegally 2 decades ago. The agency said a 2008 misdemeanor DUI is his only criminal conviction in Illinois. But his immigration and residency status is unclear.
Yeah.
So-
I don't think it's on. Yeah. I think it's clear that he's not here legally. And,
Right.
it's not like adverse possession where, if you squat essentially on a property for a certain amount of time in some states, you eventually become the owner of that.
Right.
I understand the emotional reaction to that because someone's been here a long time,
Mhm.
and if they've otherwise been essentially an upstanding citizen and not been a problem in the community, I understand. But okay, then you had that time to try and
Right.
get things straightened out.
Yeah.
Can I go off on a rant?
Please.
Do we have time for that?
Please.
Okay. I do not understand this. Okay, I've only traveled. The only foreign country I've ever traveled to is Mexico.
Mhm.
But I can't in my mind in any way fathom going to another country and thinking that I should stay there without jumping through the hoops
Right.
and taking that risk and then assuming that they should just accommodate me because I want to be there.
Right.
I don't understand that. And I don't understand why people have this mentality that, oh, well, we're supposed to be the exception.
Mhm.
Everybody should be able to come here and not abide by our rules, even though we would never break the rules elsewhere.
Right.
I don't understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. So about 300 people, and Staunton's obviously not very big.
No.
But about 300 people showed up on Sunday to like do the chants and, get rid of ICE and immigrants are welcome here kind of stuff in Staunton. Now, I don't know how reflective that is of the entire community or how many of those people were actually from Staunton, although I'm sure many of them were because it was like a local diner. And that's the kind of story that the left loves to go see how cruel this is, separating families. Well, wait a minute. ICE says we've got documentation. This guy's been here 20 years and never got legal. Why are you mad at them?
Put your energy into seeing if you can help them get a good immigration lawyer and
Right.
figure out how to get, some sort of dispensation.
Yeah, you feel bad for your friend or the guy that makes the best cheeseburger in town or whatever he does at his restaurant there. Okay, but understand this is his fault. This isn't Big Bad ICE's fault. This is his fault for not getting right. If you've been here for 20 years and you didn't get legal, that's on you, dude.
It is. And that's a harsh reality. People don't always want to accept it. I mean, that's part of accountability, responsibility. I mean, you're a grown up. You made the decision.
Yeah.
It's on you.
And one of the arguments I hear from the left and frankly from libertarians, and this is one of the issues that libertarians tend to get very, very wrong, is they say, well, it's really complicated and expensive. It's really hard to do. It's just almost impossible. And my answer is, and we're a sovereign nation. We can set whatever rules we want.
Right. And if you want to advocate for streamlining the process,
yeah, I'm open to that conversation.
I am with you.
Absolutely. I'm open to that conversation. But sneaking in, especially multiple times 20 years ago, and okay, so you became a nice guy later and you started a business, which by the way, how did you qualify for all the stuff without being a citizen?
One wonders.
How many government documents did you have to fill out?
Right. What qualifications are there? I don't know. You do have to wonder about that.
Man.
You really do. You know what? Is New York going to elect a socialist communist mayor? Is Virginia going to go blue after Glenn Youngkin's run as governor there? At 7:20, we're looking at the bigger picture on the upcoming elections.
Inspiration, you have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. You're making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
What was once considered radical is now mainstream.
On News Talk STL.
Oh, hey.
Colombo and Company.
We're over a month into the government shutdown, and New York is about to elect a new mayor. It's going to be a busy week. We'll get you the latest Monday with Paul Kurtman and AI expert Mike McCleary.
Live and local weekdays at 2
on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, Election Day is tomorrow, and not just here.
Right.
Okay, so 8:05, Niles Stevens from Mo Tax Relief Now is going to be with us to kind of go over, what's on the ballots here in the area and why right here in Missouri, this is absolutely the wrong time to be trying to raise taxes on anything, but particularly this Rockwood School District situation. Because there's a lot to go over. So 8:05, we're going to talk to him. But here's a question. And Susie, with Red State, redstate.com, you've got, your kind of view on this every day. I mean, this is what you do for a living, is track this stuff here. We've got New York City, we've got Virginia, we got California, we got New York State. I mean, so we got some big,
and New Jersey.
New Jersey, right? Is this a pulse check on America, or that could tell us what's to come in the next rounds? Or is this just, these are local elections?
I have an answer for you.
Yes.
If it goes the Democrats' way, it's absolutely a pulse check.
Yeah.
If it goes the Republicans' way, no, it's just one-offs. These are, you can't take anything.
They don't
from
mean
it.
anything.
Right. That's what the narrative would be anyway.
So what do you think the
probably
actual
gonna split?
What's the actual answer?
I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest. I mean, I don't think you can read. I think you have to be careful and not read too much into it.
Right.
But I also think you have to not just dismiss it out of hand. Now you have to take a couple of other factors into consideration. New Jersey has a tendency to switch off its governors from Republican to Democrat.
Right.
So if New Jersey goes to Ciattarelli, that's great, but it's not unheard of. Chris Christie was governor of New Jersey.
Yeah,
Todd Whitman was governor of New Jersey.
And they were allegedly Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, there was an R behind their name on the ballot.
Yeah.
We'll just say that, okay? Virginia, has the weird thing. They've got the term limits. Youngkin came in on a wave of parental sentiment because Terry McAuliffe just stepped on a rake bad. Winsome Sears should be running away with this.
Yes.
The fact that she's not is a testament to the fact that Northern Virginia hates Donald Trump so much.
Yeah.
Because Abigail Spanberger is not an impressive candidate.
No, she's not.
I mean, there's a lot of problems with
but sometimes you vote for people in your party. I mean, Sam Page, by all objective political science, is not an impressive candidate.
No.
But he's won twice.
Yeah.
And if he gets past the primary, he may very well win again. He may lose in the primary.
Yeah.
But he's not impressive. Spanberger, she is deer in the headlights, empty suit.
Yeah.
Winston.
And she worked for the CIA. Like, is this all? I don't what did she do? Did she just blend into the background wherever she was?
Did they have to wipe her brain with something to get
don't
rid of?
know. I
those are,
don't know. But
But please stare into this for this eye test.
I do feel like Jason Miyares has a pretty good chance of holding. I mean, he's the incumbent. The obviously Jay Jones, the candidate who's opposing him for the AG's office, has a lot of problems, including homicidal fantasies that he shared with people.
I mean, there's that.
Yeah. So my sense is that we're going to maybe see kind of mixed messages. I don't see how Mamdani doesn't win in New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not that Cuomo would be. Great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like Republicans, no, Cuomo's a great. No, he's not.
No.
He's
kind of normal though. I mean,
he's a normal New England
corrupt
Democrat.
Normal.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a mixed bag.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this shakeup happens because, if it works, I think that's going to really sort of be an example to the rest of the country. Not that I think it's going to work, but I do think it's going to set a really weird example of here's this guy who came in here and did all this stuff that we keep fighting against, and yet somehow it worked. And then you're going to probably see a lot of other blue cities with what my generation calls the old guard of the way of doing things, suddenly saying, well, we were going to support this person, but this person's even further left and further socialist, and so push that way. Otherwise, what I really think is going to happen is, at very best, it's going to be a continuation of the corruption that they've already had, and at very worst, it's going to lead to a major shakeup. That, unfortunately for New York City, but potentially great for the rest of us, might say, well, okay, we gave the socialists a chance, did not work, made things much worse. Maybe we need to start considering more conservative libertarian ideas.
Now, when you look at this area, the crazy fringe leftists, the last couple election cycles were booted out.
They were.
And they were booted out by Democrats. That could be a Midwest versus East Coast thing. Now, is it fair to say, of all these places we've referenced, Virginia would be the closest to a bellwether? I mean, clearly New York City is just blue on blue.
I do think so.
But Virginia has red areas, and they, like I said, Glenn Youngkin, was elected, and there people responded. So it's interesting. Mayorkas, I haven't met him, but I saw him speak at an event a couple years ago. Man, that guy's sharp.
Miaras.
Mayorkas
is
sorry. Miaras.
Former
Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
DHS
This guy. Sorry. Miaras. I saw him speak at a First Liberty event a few years ago, and really impressive. Very conservative. Very conservative. Winsome Sears, obviously more of the sort of MAGA activist kind of concern. Well, MAGA activists. I think there's an increasing divide between MAGA and conservatives, but she's very conservative. There's definitely an overlap there, without a doubt, with her. But she's definitely more attached to the Trump brand.
She is.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's got an impressive life story. And I think she got off to a slow start. And I really think the biggest obstacle she has is the fact that Northern Virginia is Northern Virginia.
Right.
So, but I do think that you could almost make the argument that New Jersey might be a little bit of a bellwether, because you have seen a shift. I mean, there was a shift red in almost every locale, but I mean, you've definitely seen that in New Jersey. And I think there's a certain vibe there, if you will. But I think Virginia probably is the most bellwether of them.
Let's look at New York City. Okay, so you've got, I mean, he embraces the term socialist. His rhetoric tells me he's just basically communist. I think.
I just think he's not realistic at all.
Right.
But yes, the philosophies he seems to be espousing are a mix, maybe.
Yeah. It's somewhere in between those two. I mean, they're generally shades of one another either way, but I think he's what north or south, wherever you want to call it, however you want to look at it, of socialism towards communism.
I mean, Lenin himself said that the end goal of socialism is communism. So it's not too much of a, even if you put Democrat socialist, it's not, there's no Democrat communist.
Right. Yeah. That's a brand that they wouldn't, try to, although, hey, CPUSA, Communist Party USA, was one of the sponsors of the No Kings stuff. Literally the Communist Party was one of the sponsors of the No Kings. So here's the question I've got, because like you said, it looks like he's inevitable. So less than 25 years after 9/11, a communist Muslim is going to be the mayor of New York City. Let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah.
And here's the uncomfortable question that I asked a little bit earlier. We said we would never forget. Did New York forget? And if New York City forgets, what's that tell the rest of us?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think you could make an argument that someone being Muslim isn't in and of itself something that you would expect New York necessarily to consider a disqualifier. For instance, let's say you had a moderate Democrat Muslim or an even, moderate Republican Muslim. I mean, that wouldn't necessarily be like sending off alarm bells to me, like, what's New York City doing? But this is somebody who's he's cozied up to people that are associated with that. He's really he's not indicated any sort of moderation on that issue.
Right.
And I would think that would be a major turnoff to the voters in that area, but I don't know.
Yeah. So for people that I know that are not in New York, but would support somebody like Mondami in their state, the sort of sentiment is regarding the traditional candidates, the non-Mondami candidates, it's with friends like these, who needs enemies, sort of thing. So if this is the way that the people that are supposed to be exhibiting our values and being, the traditional American Democrat are acting, then look at how it's turned out for us. Look at how it's really not done a whole lot of good for us. Maybe the solution, and again, I don't agree with this, but their ideology is maybe regardless of this person's ethnic or religious background, that maybe what they're saying could work because what's been done is not working. And let's just see how that goes. And if that's good or bad, it's yet to be seen, I suppose. Now, my other question, though, because you mentioned specifically the Communist Party of the USA, the Communist Control Act of 1954 is still the U.S. Code. And that's basically what it says is it explicitly declares the Communist Party an instrumental conspiracy to overthrow the government, and it is basically supposed to stop communism from having any sort of political power. So while he's saying, I'm democratic socialist and all that, the fact that there is a literal Communist Party USA involved in that, how is that legal?
That's the worst tack anybody could
Yep.
take. Because if you try to say he's not here, he can't belong to this legally and prosecute him criminally, guess what's going to happen?
Yep.
He's going to be a martyr.
Yep.
That's going to be taken up to the Supreme Court, and it's going to be stricken down because
Yep.
that is a violation of the
That
First
is
Amendment.
100% a violation of the First Amendment.
Wow.
It really is. I agree. I completely agree. Matter of fact, the Communist Party actually has a few protections from like campaign finance stuff that other parties don't have.
Wow.
Yeah. Matter of fact, because like they cannot disclose in some cases donors because of the fear of retaliation and basically what we see happening all over the place. They've actually been given in particular court cases permission to keep some of their donors private because of the retaliation they would likely get for supporting the Communist Party.
Oh, but ICE officers can't keep their names private?
Correct.
Okay. Just trying to figure out where
Yep.
the line is there.
100% correct on that.
Huh.
So, I mean, New York City in and of itself has $1 trillion economy.
Mhm.
Can one guy come in, even as mayor, and take control of the entire thing? No. But the policies that he can do some tremendous damage.
Yes, they can.
When he's talking about, increasing, rent controls, which the rent controls already have been horrendous. And it's amazing to me that nobody can see that. Not to mention, all the, the freebies that he wants to, hand out with everything. And he's proactively saying, and if you businesses leave to get away from this, I'm going to find a way to chase you down and tax you anyway. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm quite sure that if you do his whole government controlled grocery store idea, that there will probably be lines to the grocery store, just like some of the lines that we're seeing at airports right now, as SNAP benefits are delayed at least a few days as well. So what's next when it comes to the government shutdown? Well, luckily, we're visiting with Congressman Dr. Bob Onder at 7:35 to hopefully let us know some good updates.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A fast-moving weather pattern brings a series of fronts through our area this week, but only one of those fronts brings a chance of rain. That's not going to happen until late Thursday night into Friday. So a lot of dry time this week and a warming trend. Sunny skies today, 64 for the high, with a dry front shifting winds out of the northwest at 7 to 12 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tonight, low of 44 in St. Louis. Mostly sunny Tuesday with a warmer high at 71. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Dr. Draghi and his team at Esquire Sports Medicine get pros back on the field, so they can certainly help you. You need an MRI, X-ray, CAT scan, pre- or post-surgery treatment, rehab. The chiropractic physicians at Esquire can help you or connect you to experts you need. And I know you're hurting right now. You don't want to wait. Esquire sees new patients often within 24 hours. EsquireSportsMedicine.com.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
So did you give any money to Black Lives Matter? Silly question for most of you, I know. But then again, maybe you know someone who did. They raised something like $90 million. For what? And who did get the money? The Justice Department is now digging in to the BLM funds. I can tell you where $6 million went. 3 co-founders of BLM bought a house in L.A. 6 bedrooms, 6 baths, swimming pool, a sound stage. It was supposed to be an asset of BLM used for charity fundraising. Fundraising was going great. The New York Post reported that one of the BLM organizers bought 3 other properties, 2 in LA, 1 in Atlanta. And one of the founders, since admitting it probably wasn't the best idea to spend that kind of money on homes. But she insists, I did not pocket any money. And then she said, it is false to accuse me of stealing, her words, to accuse me of stealing from Black people. That response opens up several questions.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
I want to tell you more about Wellington Environmental's dustless blasting services. Wellington can blast paint, grease, graffiti, even stripes off parking lots. Truly amazing and powerful. But can Wellington blast something more sensitive? Yes, Wellington can use dry ice to blast soot and odors off smoke-damaged surfaces right after a fire. Currently, Wellington uses dry ice to clean mold off wood inside a home. Why? Well, dry ice immediately disappears, turns into a vapor. That means no mess to clean up, no damaged surfaces. You need to check with Wellington, always researching and practicing with new, better, faster, safer equipment and products for you. And it's very easy to schedule an estimator for your next project. Call Cindy, 314-644-4930, 644-4930. Be well with Wellington.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime.
News Talk STL right on my phone.
Anywhere.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, the talking points have not changed. I didn't even bother with the dueling sound bites today.
No.
Talking points have not changed, but the effect is extending to more people's lives. So what can we expect next as a result of the shutdown? That's where we're going to start.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, everybody's made up their mind who they're going to blame.
Sure.
For this at this point. Some people blame the Democrats and other people are wrong. You know, I mean, that's just the way to look at it. So where do we go from here? We're now joined by Congressman Bob Onder right now. So Bob, let me start with the whole thing with the SNAP benefits. Those EBT benefits have not gone out for November. Two different courts, as we were talking about a little bit earlier, have ruled that the government has to do it anyway, despite not having authorization to do it. What do you make of those court rulings, and what does that say about the whole situation?
Yeah, good morning. I didn't know that the Constitution had been amended to give a single unelected federal judge the power of the purse and the power of the administrative branch of government. Under our Constitution, Congress appropriates money and the president administers the executive branch. The court rulings are null and void. You can't just say there's money somewhere in government and therefore the president could just move money around. There are consequences to the Democrats shutting down the government. These programs have literally run out of money. We don't have money for the SNAP benefits. And that's why the Democrats have to stop weaponizing the pain of the American people, including recipients of SNAP, including the recipients of the WIC program, the salaries of government employees, including air traffic controllers, and do the right thing and get back to the business of governing. And the House did its job, as you know, on September 19th. We're still waiting for 5 more Democrat senators to do the right thing and to vote to reopen the government.
Bob, there's some speculation that after tomorrow's elections that maybe that will free up a couple of those Democrats, maybe 5 of them, to go ahead and change their vote. Do you see that happening?
Yeah, I do. Some of my friends in the Senate are saying that is what they expect to happen, and they are closer to things than I am. So, they're talking about Friday. And of course, the 7-week continuing resolution that we passed in September in the House, it would now be like a week and a half continuing resolution. So the Senate would likely then change the date on the continuing resolution, maybe till January, and then we in the House would come back and finally give final passage to that. So I'm hopeful that that is what will happen. None of the delay by the Democrats has made any sense to me. Waiting for the No Kings rally, waiting for food stamp funds to expire. It's not made any sense at all, other than that Chuck Schumer kept saying that every day gets better for Democrats. I'm hopeful that it will happen soon.
Yeah, because I mean, for that to happen, Bob, we're talking about the Democrats just simply enough of them have to give in and come over and vote, because I'm not seeing any movement on the Republican side. Republicans and the president and Republicans in the Senate have said, no, this is what you can vote on, take it or leave it. And they have not bent on that. And by the way, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, we cannot give 1 inch on that. And no one ever has gotten anything policy-wise for a continuing resolution, because all a continuing resolution does is continued government funding at a level that Schumer and Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries and all the rest of the Democrats have already voted for. In fact, it's Biden-era spending. I didn't like voting for that, but it is what we need to do to buy the time to go through normal order and pass. I hope a more sane and fiscally conservative budget. But the choice to shut down the government is the Democrats and the Democrats alone.
All right, Bob, this is a two-parter. You mentioned the fact that if the Senate does eventually vote to open the government, they're probably going to change the date from November 21st and push it off by till January, which makes sense at this point. Number one is, do you see there being any issue then with the House agreeing to that additional time frame? And then the second part of it is whether it's November 21st or January.
Yeah.
How far along are we? How close are we to being able to get those appropriations bills passed?
Yeah, I think the House will go along with an extended date, let's say January. I don't think the House would go along with a really long-term CR like a year, but I think January wouldn't be a problem. Look, we've already passed. The House has already passed all 12 budget bills out of committee. We've passed, I believe, 3 or 4 through the House. So we can do our work. The real barrier is the 60-vote rule in the Senate, where we need 8 Democrats to go along. And the problem with the budget process for too long is by applying that filibuster rule to the budget, there's a tendency for Democrats and Republicans to pass a bipartisan bill where hey, you get your pork barrel spending and we get our pork barrel spending, and the budget just keeps going up and up. I think we really need to re-examine that process. But yeah, I think things like undoing all of the Medicaid reforms in the One Big Beautiful Bill and extending the COVID-era Obamacare subsidies perpetually, those are non-starters for me as much, after passage of a CR as they were before passage of a CR.
We're visiting with Congressman Bob Onder. Over the weekend, some other folks out on national media, including Senator Eric Schmidt, they're referring to the investigation into Arctic frost. Eric Schmidt was very passionate about what he was arguing for on Fox News, basically saying this needs to be a Watergate style and Watergate intensity of an investigation and hearings. And he said for months, if need be, is Arctic frost to that level? And if so, what should be the outcome of the investigations? It can't just be we're going to get those darn Democrats. It's got to be something bigger than that.
Yeah, I think there's no question. We politicians are prone to hyperbole, but to say that this is worse than Watergate, that Arctic frost or the Russian collusion hoax is worse than Watergate, I think, if anything, is an understatement. If you think back about it, in Watergate, Nixon was never accused of directing the burglary of the Watergate Hotel and the DNC. He was accused of cover-up of that third-rate burglary. Whereas Arctic Frost and the Russian collusion hoax, the power of the federal government, the FBI, the DOJ, the entire intelligence community, federal prosecutors, federal judges, were all weaponized to get the opponents of the Democrat Party, including the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Specifically in Arctic Frost, Jack Smith ordered 197 subpoenas on 430 Republican opponents, including 8 U.S. senators. He asked Judge Boasberg that they not be notified that their phone records were subpoenaed. This is just utterly unacceptable. And really, does this rise to the level of us spending some time on some hearings investigating? Absolutely. This is a question of whether we are a free constitutional republic or whether we're some sort of police state that the party in power can use it to get his political enemies, and I believe they hoped to put their political enemies in prison, just like they did with a bunch of the January 6th protesters who were guilty of nothing more than simple trespassing, if even that.
Okay, so I'm going to shift gears just because, and I know there's probably a lot of people who have a lot of thoughts on the January 6th thing, but in the essence of time, you've been mentioning the abortion pill situation, because unfortunately under the FDA, under RFK's watch, they've actually approved more access to the abortion pill. So where does that whole situation stand right now?
Yeah, so the first Trump administration had an abortion pill policy that required in-person prescription of the abortion pill, no mail order abortions. And that makes sense because one cannot diagnose an ectopic pregnancy, which is a life-threatening emergency, over telehealth, over the phone, over some internet web portal. And, this business of telehealth abortions has resulted in men getting a hold of abortion pills and putting it in their girlfriends or their wives' food or drink, and basically killing their unborn child without the women's knowledge. This is a horrific state of affairs. And I think a lot of us were hopeful that with the election of Donald Trump, we'd go back to the sensible first Trump administration policies that protected women. So far, that has not happened. And what you alluded to, the FDA's approval of another generic version of the abortion pill, that I was very concerned about that as well. But the FDA has ordered a review, a study of the safety of the abortion pill, and some of us have been active in trying to get an audience with the president to discuss this issue, because I don't think there's any reason we should be preserving failed Biden administration policies in this new day, which is the Trump administration.
Okay, Congressman Bob Onder, by the way, I'm telling you, Governor Gavin Newsom would take issue with what you just said, because I heard on good authority, as Governor Newsom said, Joe Biden may have been one of the most successful presidents in history. He said it over the weekend, so it must be true.
Well, there you go. When they woke him up from the nap or stoked up the auto pen, he was very successful.
There it is. All right, Congressman, good to chat with you again. Thanks so much.
Have a great week.
He did
Thanks,
say
Bob.
that.
He did. He did. Well, that's
yeah.
Gavin for you. After a catastrophic flood, a small Massachusetts town united to help a 99-year-old World War II veteran who lost everything. I'm going to tell you about that and a couple other good news stories when we come back at 7:50.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
This is like giving you a bowl of doggy do, put a cherry on top, and call it a chocolate sundae.
On NewsTalkSTL.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
Okay, so we're talking tax increases, we're talking gerrymandering districts, we're talking about people, their SNAP benefits being cut off, we're talking fraud and waste, we're talking about shutdowns, long lines airports. You know what I need, Susie?
What do you need?
I need you to tell me something good.
Tell me something good.
Well, I will tell you something good. In the midst of a government shutdown that is turning into one of the longest in recent history, the tragedy is that when government fails to do its job, it's the American people who suffer its effects. However, the silver lining is that these times present us with opportunities to show up where government has failed. And that's kind of the theme of these stories I'm going to share with you.
Nice.
In the free state of Florida, despite how much the state does right, their unemployment apparatus is faulty and failing citizens. The failures existing in the system have exacerbated one woman's already precarious circumstances, as a local NBC news station, WPTV, reported. A Port St. Lucie woman faces homelessness after waiting 5 months for Florida's Department of Commerce to determine her eligibility for unemployment benefits. Lena Hody was laid off from her hotel housekeeping job about 5 months ago, applied for reemployment benefits despite weekly visits to the local Career Source Center in Fort Pierce. She's been given the runaround, basically. So they still don't have an answer for her. She's like saying, you know, I've been waiting. No one's gonna give me a straight answer. The benefits capped at $275 per week, but that's money she needs to pay the rent. She rents a bedroom from a local family, and she's got about 2 weeks left.
Yeah.
And if she doesn't get the money, she's going to be out. So she was telling her story. She said, you know what? I'm looking for shelters or anything, but there's really nothing in the area. So this TV station carries her story. Another station, WPLX, or WFLX, picks it up, features her on their nightly newscast. And then her car went out too.
Of course.
So then she had to have people drive her to the career office. Okay. And then one viewer, who wishes to remain anonymous, stepped up to cover her rent payments.
Oh, nice.
The person told the news station, it just hit me really hard. And I was like, I felt compelled to want to try and do something to help her. Unfortunately, with the climate in the world today, good deeds, I believe, can get transformed into something bad for the person who's trying to do good. I'm not wealthy by any means. But when I looked at my finances, I was like, I'm comfortable enough that I can do something for somebody else. The gesture gives Hody more than just a roof over her head while she sorts out an ongoing issues with the state. And she just said she's very grateful for that. So here's one person who decided to step up and make a difference.
Yeah. And when somebody's working to try to find work and they don't appear to be freeloading, it's a lot easier to go, I really want to help that person.
Yeah. And if you look at this is from Jennifer Oliver O'Connell's Feel Good Friday at Red State. And if you look at the video, I mean, she's talking about, she's like, I've worked in this industry for years. She's like, I have a good resume.
Yeah.
She's looking for work. She's just not having any luck. Yeah. So good on this anonymous donor for stepping up.
Absolutely.
So
tell me something good.
We've got a similar story, a little shorter. As I mentioned, there was a catastrophic flood. A small Massachusetts town came together to help a 99-year-old World War II veteran who lost everything. When a devastating flood destroyed the home that 99-year-old World War II veteran Leo Valente and his daughter Cheryl had shared for nearly 60 years, and insurance and the VA failed them, they turned to their community for help. Cheryl explained their situation to a local news station, and neighbors rushed to the comments on Facebook to not only share their condolences, but to offer help in the form of monetary donations, furniture, and more. At the time of publication, a GoFundMe in his name had raised almost $16,000 in 6 days. They were shooting for $18,000 as their goal, and that's going to go towards temporary hotel fees and later a new apartment.
Nice.
Another thing from this story is that a lot of his memorabilia was damaged.
You can't
some of
replace
his
that.
medals. Yeah. So this is a sad story, but good on the community for rallying and helping.
Absolutely.
Tell me something good.
Hundreds of homes across the country are competing to put on the best Halloween displays. They raised nearly $1 million for St. Jude. Now, obviously, this was a story from last week, but this is the bit. Jeff Robertson admits that he went a little overboard when decorating his house for Halloween in October of 2020. His display was on the local news, and people traveled from all over the city to see it, and his family decided to use the attention for good. So he started Skeletons for St. Jude, a campaign that encourages families across the United States to decorate their homes and raise awareness for children's cancer research. In the last 5 years, the cause has grown steadily from 400 homes in 2021 to 681 in 2024. This year, more than 1,000 were expected to participate, and the initiative has raised almost $1 million since the fundraiser began in 2020.
Because isn't St. Jude one of those that they don't charge the families for the kids to treat
not.
them, and it's like top-notch quality?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So what a wonderful story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me something good.
And I have for you the national days this week.
Yes,
Are you wanting to hear
I
this?
love these. I love these.
All right. Monday, today,
Mhm.
National Sandwich Day.
Okay. All right. Good favorite around the room?
I'm a big fan of submarine sandwiches.
Okay.
I like Cabanos, and I also like Italian.
There you go.
Yeah, I love Italian sandwiches, but I also like Lion's Choice, which I know you don't.
I'm
but
not a Lion's
I
Choice
know.
guy. I do. I had, 6 months ago, a chicken parm sandwich that was phenomenal. That might be my new favorite if I'm going to have a sandwich. Yeah.
Pretty good.
See, sometimes I get like a really intense craving for chicken parm, but then most of the time it's like chicken parm.
Yeah.
If it's not done right, it can be a real letdown.
Yeah. It's one or the other. You either really like it or
Mhm.
really don't. Like
Yeah.
like Susie said, with Lion's Choice, it's really not for me.
I love it.
I don't get.
I love it.
I don't get it, St. Louis.
Well, guess what? Tomorrow is National Candy Day.
Oh.
So I guess that's so you can have the leftovers
Yeah.
from Halloween.
Wasn't National Candy Day Friday?
That was National Chocolate Day, wasn't it? Or was it Candy
It was
Day?
last week.
It's Halloween.
But Halloween.
Oh, well.
But where's my? I don't have it. You're lucky.
Sorry. Caffeine didn't reach all the way into my brain for that one. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
So again, I try not to eat candy, but if I do, what do you guys have?
Reese's.
Okay.
I like Butterfingers.
To me, it's like if there's caramel inside of chocolate,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Caramel or peanut butter, either
Yep.
one of those.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Well, Wednesday, it's National Stress Awareness Day.
We're aware.
That's important.
I'm aware. Thank you.
But to help you deal with that stress, it's also National Donut Day.
There you go. Mario's.
There
See,
you
Mario
go.
serves a health purpose.
Let's de-stress with some glaze.
That's right.
Right?
And sprinkles.
Thursday, National Nachos Day.
Hey, there we
Ooh,
go.
I can get behind that.
Oh,
I love me a
yes.
good plate of nachos.
With how much stuff on it?
Just enough that it doesn't break the chip.
Fair enough.
I want it to stay on the chip. I want to actually have it delivered to my mouth on the chip instead of like eating it with a fork after the fact.
No, if I can't eat it with a fork because it's too light, then it's not
Mhm.
real nachos.
Well, I mean, I don't mind there being a little left over, but if it's weighing down the chip, that's a problem. Last but not least, Friday, ready for this? National Fountain Pen Day.
Fountain pen day. Okay.
What?
What?
Yeah.
I know. It's like food. And
Fountain pen day. Interesting.
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever seen a fountain pen in person now that I think about it.
Oh, that used to be like you'd give those as a gift.
That's
you
true.
know.
You get them from
Or
like
then you
things
get-
remembered and with an engraving
Yeah.
on it. Or
And then,
something.
I mean, there were some less expensive ones that you get at
Yeah.
Kmart or whatever. But yeah, there was some of those can get really fancy.
Again,
I guess worth celebrating.
I guess so.
Hey, firearms enthusiast, looking for a family and veteran-owned shop with a wide selection of products and services? Head to DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green. DG Firearms has been your one-stop shop for custom ARs, Cerakoting, laser engraving, gunsmithing, suppressors, ammo, and reloading supplies. DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green, and online at dgfirearmsllc.com.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Alamo Military Collectibles and Monocle's Pizza.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Amit Thomason. There are a number of key races to be decided in tomorrow's off-year elections. Gubernatorial contests in Virginia and New Jersey, while New York City elects a mayor. In addition to choosing a governor, Virginians will also be electing a lieutenant governor, a state attorney general, and state lawmakers. Pro-family advocates urging voters not to sit this one out.
The ideological divide is vast on parents' rights, mixing sexes in school locker rooms and sports, assisted suicide, and much more. The Family Foundation's Victoria Cobb says the past reveals the future.
If leftists win in November, 2026 and 2027 will be even worse. They have a track record. We've seen what they will do when they obtain power. Were it not for the governor's veto pen, their insane ideas that they would have had enacted today would be horrifying.
The current governor could not run for re-election. Anne Marie Morgan reporting.
President Trump says that China has ruled out military action against Taiwan as long as he is in office.
The president told CBS's 60 Minutes that Chinese President Xi Jinping has assured him that Beijing would take no action against Taiwan while Donald Trump's in the White House. U.S. officials have long been concerned about the possibility of China using military force against Taiwan, the self-ruled island democracy that is claimed by Beijing.
White House correspondent Craig Clugston. Kimberly-Clark, the company behind brands including Huggies, Kleenex, and Cottonelle, is branching out, buying Tylenol maker Kenvue in a roughly $48.7 billion cash and stock deal, creating a massive consumer health goods company. Day 34 for the government shutdown, and there's no sign of a resolution. Watching Wall Street, Dow futures are down 29 points. NASDAQ futures 171 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The national debt is soaring and the dollar is weakening. Rising deficits and market instability are creating a perfect storm of economic uncertainty. In unpredictable times, more people are turning to physical gold and silver, real tangible assets that have protected wealth for centuries, as a way to safeguard their savings and retirement. And now with the Fed preparing another rate cut, precious metals are poised for dramatic gains in the coming weeks. At Advantage Gold, we help you move your IRA or eligible 401k into physical precious metals, tax-free and penalty-free. When you call 800-741-GOLD, you'll receive a free gold guide packed with real-world strategies to help protect your investments. Call 800-741-GOLD or visit AdvantageGold.com. Call 800-741-4653. Consult with your financial and tax professionals before making investment decisions. Call 800-741.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A fast-moving weather pattern brings a series of fronts through our area this week, but only one of those fronts brings a chance of rain. That's not going to happen until late Thursday night into Friday. So a lot of dry time this week and a warming trend. Sunny skies today, 64 for the high, with a dry front shifting winds out of the northwest at 7 to 12 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tonight, low of 44 in St. Louis. Mostly sunny Tuesday with a warmer high at 71. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Located in the heart of St. Charles, Kevin's Guns is your family-owned destination for all things firearms. Whether you're a collector, hunter, or military enthusiast, we have it or can get it for you. From new to used rifles and handguns in every style and caliber, our friendly and knowledgeable staff is here to help educate you and ensure you make the perfect choice for your needs. Buy, sell, or browse our incredible selection at kevinsguns.net or call 636-493-1195. Kevin's Guns, where gun enthusiasts come home.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
Mike Ferguson.
Shut this sucker down.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
You're not supposed to lie, but you're definitely not supposed to lie when you're under oath.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, election day. Election day, and I want you to make sure that if you have a tax increase in your area, that you are able to identify that and get out to the polls. It is 8:05 right now. This clock here still hasn't reset. It's still messing me up as well here. All right, your producer Jerome here is, and I'm Mike Ferguson. So we're going to check with Niles Stevens from Mo Tax Relief now here in just a second. So several cities, as I've said, also a couple school districts, particularly one that's raising a lot of eyebrows, just simply want to raise your taxes. Yeah, this is the wrong time to be raising taxes. I don't think there's ever a good time to raise taxes, but if at anything at all, this is a terrible time to raise taxes here. Now we're joined by Niles Stevens from Mo Tax Relief now. And let's start there before we get into the specifics. And I know you've got some real poignant thoughts on the whole Rockwood School District thing, Niles, but we've got a movement in the state right now to cap tax increases, to go after property taxes, to deliver actual relief as in lowering taxes. And to me, Niles, it seems like you've got a couple school districts and you've got, some cities that are basically saying, oh, crap, our gravy train is threatened. We better get something while the getting's good. Is that a fair read on what we're seeing around not just the St. Louis area, but also, frankly, around the state to some degree?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Mike. Yeah, I think that you do see that. And part of that is from what Mo Tax Relief Now and Representative Ben Keithley were able to get done with SB 190 or the senior property tax freeze. So once we got the ball rolling with the senior property tax freeze, and Ben Keithley likes to explain it as, if the house is on fire, you need to get somebody out first. And so we were able to freeze taxes for the seniors. And once people saw how popular that bill was and how popular freezing property taxes was, then everybody wants to jump on board.
Okay, let's start with Rockwood School District, because you've had a lot to point out about this. They want a fairly, frankly, sizable, as far as the overall dollars, property tax increase. Of course, property taxes are what people are really zoning in on right now. Now they're arguing that, it's just a few dollars, each month for everybody, but they're talking about bringing in a lot of money to the Rockwood School District. What are the biggest problems with this one?
Well, Every time that this situation comes up or there's a new campaign, you kind of learn something new. And a couple of things that I've learned in this process is that Rockwood already raised taxes with the 2023 tax shift. Now, they said that was just moving money from like a debt service to an operations. But when they shifted those taxes, Rockwood taxpayers lost the Hancock Amendment protections. So normally when the tax values go up, the rate will come down so that market speculation or market manipulation won't have a big windfall for these local taxing districts. So when they did the shift 2 years ago, we had a tax increase. And also when you're looking at this real estate tax, it's not just the real estate tax. So they're saying they want a 45-cent increase, but that includes real estate taxes and personal property taxes. Rockwood has so much money right now that this last budget, they had to spend down about $16-17 million because they had that in addition to their already high reserves.
Okay, so Melville also asking for a tax increase, a property tax increase. So there's one that they say they want to extend and try to make sense of this. The other one they're arguing, well, yeah, just it's a tax increase, but we might be able to lower something else. So it's just a wash. Don't worry about it. Just give us this tax increase because it's actually not going to cost you any more. That seems like a lot of twisted double talk there.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about with the Hancock Amendment. Yeah. There's a loophole in the Hancock Amendment where if you do one of these tax shifts, and we've seen this happen in Independence, it's happened in Ozark, it's happened in Rockwood, it's happened all over the state where when we had higher interest rates, the school districts didn't want to pay the debt on the higher interest. And so they said, hey, just let us move this money from the debt into our regular fund and it won't cost you any more. But when they did that in Rockwood, it did cost us more because we didn't get the rate rollback with Hancock. They kept the shift and they kept the higher rates.
And what does this mean to the counties that have a senior property tax freeze? Are they protected from any of this?
Well, the seniors are protected. So the seniors are protected. It's your total tax bill. Mm-hmm. So what you paid in taxes, your tax bill is not going to increase if you have the senior property tax freeze. Yeah. And what is pretty insidious of what Rockwood is doing is they're going around and telling the seniors, hey, don't worry, your taxes are frozen. So why don't you just go ahead and raise taxes on your younger neighbors? It's just terrible.
Yeah. And of course, putting this on an off year election in the off cycle election. I mean, if this were on an April ballot, well, that would make sense because that's when you elect your school board. That's when you elect your city council and all that kind of stuff. That's when you generally try to approve the bonds for the utilities or whatever it is you're doing. Putting this basically out in the electoral middle of nowhere seems like a pretty naked ploy to say, boy, nobody's going to show up for this. Let's get the booster club to approve this. And so this really is not technically sneaking something through, but kind of trying to sneak something through.
Well, it's not only trying to sneak it through, but we, the taxpayers, have to pay for these elections. Mm-hmm. And so Rockwood spent $130,000 to put, just for the nuts and bolts of to run an election. And you can vote today. You can go out and vote no today. There's early voting at Daniel Boone Library today in Rockwood if you want to vote no on this tax increase. But they already spent the money to print the ballots and to have the poll workers there to run the election. Plus, if you look at what their communications plan was for Prop S, it is tens of thousands, possibly over 100,000 in addition to their yard signs and their advertisements, their YouTube videos, all of this promotional material that is supposed to just, quote unquote, inform the public. That cost another $100,000. So you're looking at almost $250,000 of taxpayer money that is spent in order to try to raise taxes.
Now, is their so-called education, which we know the point of that is to get a yes vote, but do they seem to be towing the line on the letter of the law, even if they're flouting the spirit of the law on those? That's a lot of money to just say we're just informing when they frankly don't seem to want a lot of people to know about this election.
Right. And it just so happens that the technology director is also the director of the political action committee. So the person who works inside the school and helps get everything on the website, in the spare time runs the PAC for the school, for the tax increase. So no, I haven't seen anything where the district has done anything, quote unquote illegal or anything like that. But all of those, informational pieces are all geared towards getting a yes vote. And yeah, it's very muddy waters, but I haven't seen anything that would cause any ethics concerns.
Yeah. I mean, at least from a legal perspective, we know that they don't spend that money just to say, we hope you know about it. They do it in hopes of getting a yes vote on that. That's just how that works. Okay. So we're visiting with Niles Stevens from Mo Tax Relief Now. Let's talk about these so-called use taxes. So basically, you've got Festus, you've got Ladue, you've got Creve Coeur. They want us to tax ourselves more on online purchases. So basically, they're asking us to raise the sales taxes on something else in the city. What do you make of those?
Well, if you're going to raise a use tax, then you should cut another tax is what we would say with Mo Tax Relief Now, because you could look at that doing like the income tax. If you're trying to get rid of the income tax, you might replace some of that revenue with a consumption tax or a use tax. So we're not against a use tax or against a consumption tax per se, but what we look at is what is the overall growth of the government. Since COVID especially, government budgets have ballooned and the private sector is just trying to keep up. So how exactly you formulate your taxes, there's 100 different ways to tax. But what we want to see is governments prioritize. And so like in the Rockwood School District, if you want to prioritize teacher pay, do that within your current budget that's already growing. And if you're in Festus or any of these other areas where you want to put in a use tax, get rid of the property tax or get rid of a personal property tax, change it around so the overall burden of taxes isn't always just on just raise, where the public sector just keeps growing.
Okay, let me wrap up with where we kind of started. There's a momentum to address this and give us some tax relief. And you and Dennis, you guys are, Mo Tax Relief Now. You've really lit the fire on this in a large way. So what can we expect from your perspective, looking at the upcoming 2026 legislative session in Missouri? Is there a possibility for real tax relief, as in just capping it or even reducing some taxes around the state? Because my curiosity is, are these school districts, are these cities whole, are they looking at the landscape and going, oh crap, like I said at the very beginning of our discussion, we may need to get this while we can before the legislature takes some action and limit our ability to milk more out of people? What could realistically get done in the next legislative session?
So when we look at tax reform for 2026, kind of a three-headed monster. So we are still looking at reducing or eliminating the income tax. That's a campaign priority from Governor Kehoe. He is still on that. And so eliminating the income tax would be huge for Missouri to make Missouri a growth state. The income tax is separate. That's a state level tax. That's separate from your property taxes and your personal property. And when you're looking at those, we're still going to try to eliminate the personal property tax because we don't want to pay rent on our cars forever. And then also what we are going to look at is some property tax, just cleaning up some of these things so Rockwood can't put a special election on an off-year November ballot. So there are things that we can do to make sure that there's a minimum voter turnout to get a tax increase done. We can look at putting a TIF or a tax abatement on the ballot versus allowing these municipalities to do that. So we're going to look at tax reform. We're going to look at getting rid of the personal property tax, and we're going to look at getting rid of or at least reducing the income tax. And we'll see what the legislature wants to do. We're still very confident that people have seen the success of the senior property tax freeze, and that the legislature, with our strong supermajority of Republicans, will continue to cut taxes in 2026.
All right, Mo Tax Relief Now. People connect with you and find you all how?
Hit us up on Facebook and on X. So we got our social medias going there, and also get on our website, motaxreliefnow.org, and sign up for our newsletter. We put out 1 or 2 newsletters a month. We don't overburden your inbox, but it has great information in there on what's going on in taxes all across the state of Missouri.
All right. Thanks, Niles. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Got some thoughts on that? 314-912-1019. And just ahead here, from the news desk to the jail cell. Yikes. Ooh. Yeah. A former St. Louis news anchor is accused of a brutal crime. I will tell you about that in the news dump right around 8:21. I'm still looking at this clock that didn't reset. It says 9. I'm like, it's not, 9 o'clock's not my show.
No, don't be trampling on other people's shows.
And all at once depart, no destination, making cold my to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your
When water troubles strike, call the family you can trust. Tim Jones here for Ambassador Plumbing, serving our community since 2018 with 25 years of master plumbing expertise from Tim Morris and his handpicked team. Whether it's a simple faucet repair or a complete bathroom remodel, if water runs to it or through it, they do it. From residential service calls to commercial to new construction, the folks at Ambassador are your neighbors treating you like family. Ambassador Plumbing, where faith meets craftsmanship. 636-383-6932 or ambassadorplumbing.com. That's ambassadorplumbing.com.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right. If the food stamp thing does not affect you, then the lines at the airport might, or maybe some other aspects. The government shutdown is resulting in problems affecting those of us who are not dependent on Uncle Sam. They're going to find a way for this to become a nuisance.
Yeah, when the government's got too many of its tentacles and different elements of things we need for our daily lives, I mean, it's just inevitable. If you're trying to do some online shopping, if you're a business owner that requires, international things to be imported, I mean, it's just going to keep rippling.
Yep, it sure will. And a former St. Louis news anchor is in jail accused of a hideous crime. I mean, it's bad. And one Cardinal in a year that didn't go our way, at least he had a golden year himself. We'll tell you about that in just a moment. It is 9:21. 8:21. I'm turning this clock around.
There's a clock right there.
I know. It's like, I'm just like monkey see, monkey say here on this thing. All right, let's dump some news on you.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news. The morning news dump.
All right, the government shutdown now 34 days old. I'm still hoping. You think we can get to 40? Think we can do it?
Let's go for the record.
Let's go. Let's do it. It is putting a strain on air travel though. Couple weekends ago, I felt a little bit of it. It affected me a little bit, but in a very minor way. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy was on ABC's This Week, commenting on the growing frustration and also what's to come.
We will delay, we will cancel any kind of flight across the national airspace to make sure people are safe. But there is a level of risk that gets injected into the system when we have a controller that's doing two jobs instead of one.
So we are hearing rumors that Democrats may kind of cave in later this week, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. But that's not guaranteed for certain. One we've got right now, though, President Trump saying Republicans not interested in compromising.
With the shutdown entering its 6th week, the president said he won't be extorted by Democrats. Appearing on CBS's 60 Minutes, he said that Democrats who are demanding an extension in health care subsidies have lost their way and predicted that they will eventually capitulate to Republicans. The president said if Democrats don't vote to reopen the government, it's their problem. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And on this, I think President Trump is 100% correct.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you cannot sit there and then hold the entire nation hostage. And then the problems that you are causing by voting against reopening the government, sit there and say, look at all these problems that are happening because the government's, well, then vote to reopen the government and then move on.
Right. Yeah. So I'm really glad that the Republicans have discovered a spine.
Yep.
And they are holding to it. Hopefully they stick to it. And like Bob Onder told us a little bit earlier, Congressman Bob Onder said they're not going to give an inch. I hope that's what happens on this.
And again, Bob Onders is one of those that said, I have forelowed my payment.
Yes.
So he's being affected as well by this. And he's still saying we're going to stand strong.
Yep. All right. Unemployment in Missouri is up compared to this time last year. Almost 14,400 jobless claims were filed in October. That's about 2,500 more than during the same period last year. Okay. The government shutdown and the Boeing strike are major factors of that increase because there's about 3,200 Boeing workers, but that's both sides of the river. So you can assume that Boeing strike is probably the difference between unemployment claims going up this past October and the October before.
Yeah, I mean, again, mathematically that makes sense.
All right, President Trump saying on Sunday that the administration is considering deploying troops to or carrying out airstrikes in Nigeria due to violence against Christians from Islamic groups like Boko Haram. He tells journalists aboard Air Force One that the U.S. is not going to stand by.
They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that to happen.
Okay, so the Trump administration adding Nigeria to the country's a particular concern list of nations that violate religious freedom. That list also includes China and North Korea. Nigeria says the U.S. must respect their sovereignty. So basically they're saying none of your business is what they're saying. I can tell you I don't like the idea of deploying troops in an unstable region like Nigeria. We don't have a national interest that is threatened there. What's happening is absolutely hideous. It's not genocide because it's not ethnic, but it's basically a mini. I don't want to say the word Holocaust because that cheapens the actual Holocaust, but it's attacking Christians for their faith. And by the way, outside of Western society, Christians are persecuted more than anybody realizes. Mm-hmm. It's actually the most persecuted religion around the world. So what's happening is hideous, but if we're going to do something, we need to be very, very mindful of how we do it.
Yeah, it is horrific. It is barbaric. It is disgusting. It is egregious. It should not be happening. But I voted for no new wars. And I also think we have enough going on domestically that, as sad and unfortunate as it is, I don't see us getting involved in that as leading to any potential ending of that anytime soon.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. All right. A former St. Louis newscaster is in jail, accused of killing her mother. This is all in Kansas. Yeah. Former Fox 2 anchor Angie Mock is charged with first-degree murder for the stabbing death of 80-year-old Anita Avers. Mock is being held on a $1 million bond. She was a morning anchor for Fox 2 from 2011 to 2015, so she hasn't even been in St. Louis for about 10 years. But she was there, broadcasting stuff like the Ferguson riots, and that was the era she was the morning news anchor on this. But, I mean, what the police are saying out of Sedgwick County, Kansas, which is Wichita, basically, it's brutal. I mean, the murder was brutal. Now, if Angie Mock is the one who did it, which she hasn't been convicted of anything, it's one of those how in the heck did that happen kind of things.
Yeah, and especially given that these kinds of crimes, I mean, they happen, but it's not as common as people would think. So I don't want to speculate. I want to let the courts do their process and all that, but it's so sad to see somebody that had a media career like that, then suddenly something happened, and now it's all down the drain.
Yeah, exactly. All right. The assassin of Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, will soon face trial. Cameras will not be allowed in the courtroom. Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, in an exclusive interview with Fox's Jesse Waters, discussed whether she thinks there should be cameras in the courtroom.
There's nothing to hide. I know there's not, because I've seen what the case is built on. Let everyone see what true evil is. This is something that could impact a generation and generations to come.
Okay, so that full interview is going to air Wednesday during Jesse Waters' prime time, which starts at 7 p.m. our time here. I saw some clips, the preview, kind of the tease clips they put out. They recorded that interview, that discussion on the set of Charlie Kirk's video show, his podcast. So it's on the Charlie Kirk show set. That's the backdrop to this conversation.
Wow.
That had to be hard.
Yeah, she's shown a lot of courage and a lot of strength through all this, but I can't imagine that there's not a part where it's just like, you feel that this was once a place where the person that you loved most was at, and now they're just not there.
Yeah. All right. The Blues are back on home ice tonight. They're hoping to break a 7-game winless streak. I said 7-game winless streak. 7.
If they don't get it back together, I'm wearing that Blackhawks jersey. And I'm just saying.
Okay. Blues, you've heard him. Don't make this happen. All right. They host the Oilers in Enterprise. Puck drops at 7:30 tonight. The Cardinals shortstop, Golden. Woo! Yeah, Mason Wynn becomes the youngest Cardinal to win a Gold Glove award in team history at the age of 23.
And it's like, I want to celebrate that. But again, unfortunately, due to the way that the front office was conducting themselves, how many people really get to see how amazing he was?
Not that many. Yeah, he had a phenomenal. Matter of fact, both shortstop Gold Gloves are in Missouri.
Ooh.
Yeah, because Bobby Witt Jr., the shortstop for the Kansas City Royals, won the Gold Glove in the American League.
That's what I'm talking about.
There you go. All right. And after a bye week, Mizzou heads into this week still in the top 20 in both major polls. The AP has the Tigers 19th in the country. The coaches poll ranks them a little bit better, got them at 17. The Tigers are gearing up to play a top contender for the championship. We're talking an actual contender for the FBS championship. Third-ranked Texas A&M going to be in Columbia on Saturday.
Nice.
You thought that Alabama game was tough, which Mizzou took it to them. I mean, that was a 3-point game. So we are looking at a very tough game in Columbia Saturday, early afternoon. I believe that is a 2:30 kickoff as of right now.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On NewsTalkSTL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A fast-moving weather pattern brings a series of fronts through our area this week, but only one of those fronts brings a chance of rain. That's not going to happen until late Thursday night into Friday. So a lot of dry time this week and a warming trend. Sunny skies today, 64 for the high, with a dry front shifting winds out of the northwest at 7 to 12 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tonight, low of 44 in St. Louis. Mostly sunny Tuesday with a warmer high at 71. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary with Guy Benson next.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us. And it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Here's Guy Benson.
If Zohran Mamdani can get elected in New York City, that portends potentially dark political things elsewhere. And I know New York is dramatically to the left than most of the rest of the country. So I'm not sure that a Mamdani could get elected nationally, at least now. But in terms of shifting that Overton window of what is possible in American politics, I think this could be something of a watershed moment, conceivably. And you know that if he wins, that left-wing, progressive, hardcore, anti-Western civilization, pro-crime, communist, socialist left, they're going to feel empowered. Now, maybe they'll end up blowing up the Democratic Party as a result, or maybe not. Maybe the pendulum swings nationally and the new Democratic Party is hardcore left-wingers and voters kind of shrug and say, well, we want something different. Let's try this again.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Charlie's Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobbler's, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way. The Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke.
News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning, people.
Producer Jerome.
Yes.
Investigative reporter.
Oh, yeah.
So you went around just kind of putting a bug in people's ear over the weekend if the whole government shutdown. Because remember, on Friday, we were talking about, are there going to be like riots in the grocery stores? And we were kind of thinking, yeah, probably not. You know, now this drags on month after month after month. People are going to get very primal, but I didn't think it was going to be. And I really didn't see any issues around the country. I mean, a little one-off here and there, but I don't know which videos are real and which aren't anymore.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, there wasn't a big uprising, you know, for the EBT community. There just wasn't one. But you went around basically asking the grocery stores and some other stores, hey, what are you expecting? So you told me some of the responses you got. I got to tell you, I was a little surprised.
Yeah. So initially, because, the vote's coming up tomorrow, I figured I'd go around the area because I live close enough to Creve Coeur and some of these areas. So just kind of say, hey, if you don't know about this, you live in the area, might be worth checking out, give you some time to, figure out how to get there. And then I also was asking grocery stores, convenience stores, just anywhere that said we accept EBT, we accept SNAP. And it wasn't an extremely thorough investigation, but 2 locations that I was at, I noted in my notes here that they had at least one employee who was actually worried based on what they were seeing people saying on TikTok and social media, which is why I try to limit how much I really give credits to that, because there are people that just want to spook you.
Are you saying there are things on TikTok that aren't true?
I'm probably saying like almost everything on TikTok's not true.
Okay. Well, fine. You talked me out of getting on TikTok. I won't do it now.
Now, 2 locations I was at, and I don't want to name any names, but 2 locations, nobody I could talk to was really all that worried. They're like, nah, we've got pretty good security. We have, we had a briefing or whatever. Like, we're just not that worried. It's just social media. It'll all work out.
Yeah.
One location did have somebody that seemed a little too eager for somebody to show up and try something. So at least I know that.
F-A-F-O, baby.
Yeah. I don't know if Gabe was there or not, but I'm sure they would get along. Now, here's what got me is that 3 locations had no idea. Like, nobody I talked to had any idea that SNAP was not going to be funding and or did not even know what SNAP really was. And then
even though they say we take EBT,
they're just like, I just never, I don't know. Like, people show up, they have this card and that's that.
Was that the manager or was that the employee?
It was like the cashiers and
Oh,
people
wow.
stock
Okay.
and stuff. And the majority, it was 7 or 8 of the locations that I could not find anybody, including the managers, that had any idea the government was even shut down.
See, that is what surprised me. That's the part that's everything else you said, that none of that surprised me. That surprises me that there are still people, especially who work in that industry, in the food and grocery industry, who went, the government shut down? Really?
And it was that look of confusion as if like I was pulling a prank or something on them. And I was like, yes, the government's been shut down actually for about 30 something days at this point. And they were like, when did that, like, why is it shut down? What do you mean it's shut down? I have not noticed anything at all. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's the point.
That's the point.
That's the point.
Yeah. So that's what's funny. Now, first and foremost, that goes back to like when we were counting down and cheering for a government shutdown. That's one of the things I wanted is for people to go, yeah, this doesn't affect my life. Why am I paying all of this money for something that doesn't affect my life?
Now, when I did tell some people the government was shut down, they did have that initial shocked kind of
Right.
panicked look. But when I explained it's been 30 days, I mean, the entire month for the most part was shut down. Then suddenly they're like, oh, okay. And then that got them thinking a little bit of like, well,
because they went and Google searched government shutdown.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. I want to be fact checked, but it was also that sort of, you could see in their mind, it's like, well, I know I'm still being taxed on my form. So what does the government do to where we're paying for them to basically do whatever they do, but then it's closed and I've not noticed for this entire month.
Right,
so
right.
We didn't really get a chance to have like really in-depth competition because they're working. I don't want to get them in trouble.
Were any of the managers the ones who said, I didn't know the government was shut down?
Yeah, there were a couple.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
Now, one, we just assume that like everybody watches the news like we do, which is not true at all.
Oh yeah.
But the managers, you would think somebody would have said, hey guys, heads up. Because SNAP is a massive part of the revenue for a lot of grocery stores.
Yeah. And then again, I'm not saying that this was like the store manager. This was probably just a shift manager or somebody that was, somewhere in that maybe a department manager. But yeah, it didn't really seem like the government being shut down had that much of an impact on them. And I'm assuming probably because when I worked in grocery stores and that, like you would have a warehouse where, let's say like liquor, for example, it'll sit there until you need to restock and they ship it domestically between areas.
Right.
And that's usually done by truck, not by plane. So they probably were not noticing. I would imagine if the air traffic controller issue continues, though, that at some point they're going to start saying, well, we were not able to get in some of these products that we have to import. And now we're seeing just, this not display lines of distribution lines.
The supply chain. Yeah.
Supply chain.
Yeah. And so that's where we are going to start feeling it. Now, the amount of stuff that is shipped by aircraft, it's not a huge amount. Most of it goes either by rail or it goes by truck.
Yeah.
The truck being the biggest, is for the most part. So those things are not expected to be disrupted too much. But the stuff that goes on the plane tends to be kind of that more higher value stuff. And also you've got a lot of like stuff that's got to move very quickly. So Amazon purchases and things like that moves on there. So you are going to probably start seeing as this drags on, and we'll probably know Wednesday whether or not it's going to wrap up this week or whether it's going to drag on for another couple of weeks or whether it's going to happen. But if it keeps going, then I think first of all, you're getting into the holiday season and lines at the TSA backing up. In Atlanta, they were talking about 3-hour lines over the weekend already. Again, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. I was affected in Philadelphia because there were some flights that came in late because of delays due to TSA staffing. And I looked it up, and yep, those were the ones that basically we couldn't leave because the plane that was going to take us there left late from the last place. And so that affected a lot of other stuff. So this is going to increasingly affect our lives. And the Democrats in Congress have been very, very clear about this. We want this as leverage.
Yeah.
Because eventually people are going to be so mad that they're going to call their Republican and say, just give Democrats whatever they want. And that's not what's happened.
Nor should it be what happens.
It should not be what happens, right?
In an ideal scenario, the people that are being hurt the most would look at, okay, let me just do a quick 10-second Google search. Let's see who's trying to open it and who's trying to keep it closed. They're going to see all the names except for maybe Fetterman.
Yeah.
On the Democrat side, keeping the government shut down. And then they're going to sit there and say, well, that is somebody that I supported. That might be one of my state's representatives. Why are you hurting me? And then going on the news and talking about how this is good for your party because it's hurting me.
Even Tapper on CNN flat out, then he was interviewing one of the Democratic Congress critters. And even he said, well, the way that we've covered these in the past is the party that refuses to vote for the continuing resolution is responsible for the shutdown. You're responsible for and he's telling a Democrat, he actually got it right and called him out on that.
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but there was a Democrat representative as well that was being interviewed about why she's, keeping the government, siding against reopening it. And her response was like, well, We just want a single clean thing to get the SNAP funding so we can fund it. And the reporter was like, but the Republicans did actually propose that. Did you vote yes on that? Well, it had poison pills in there. Okay, well, tell me, what are the poison pills that were in there? You're mischaracterizing what I'm saying right now, and I don't appreciate it. And I'm like, so if nothing else exposes just sort of where we're at, you are directly responsible for you did not vote for something you claim you want, and then when you're called out on it, you can't explain why.
So basically, that interview became a Monty Python skit.
Yes, a very tragic one, but yes.
I mean, that's what we're looking at. But here's the thing: is the stakes are higher. A significant portion of our economic activity in this country happens between now and the end of the year because of the holiday season. A higher level of travel. You got the summer, then you got the holiday, but the purchasing both online and in person, it happens weighted towards the end of the year. And so this has much larger impact. And I think the Democrats, to be fair to the Democrats, you look at the last few decades, the Democrats can probably sit back and go, Republicans will cave. They always do. Because Republicans generally do in Congress. And now the Democrats are looking around going, oh crap, they're not budging on this. I think they're serious, guys. What do we do?
Yeah.
And the Republicans have done very good at messaging to say, this is the Biden era level of spending that we've been doing for the last couple of years. We're just saying, keep it going. You guys are the ones saying no.
Yeah. You approved this. You supported this. We were throwing you a bone saying the majority of the country voted to reduce spending. We're going to continue what you already supported. And that's not good enough for them. And all of this is specifically, from what I can tell, is to try to hurt President Trump and his, and make him look bad. And it's a shame that there are people that have political authority that is how they think, is how much can I inflict pain and suffering on my own people and try to divert that to somebody else to make me look better because they're not paying attention.
Now, here's what's going to be interesting with the big state and local races around the country that are getting so much national attention. It is possible that these are going to go the Democrats' way. Now, we know New York City is probably a foregone conclusion. It's probably it's over. They're literally electing a communist to be their mayor.
Good luck.
Yeah. But look at Virginia, look at New Jersey, California, it looks like they may approve this Prop 50. Now, if California approves this redistricting and this gerrymandering there, it looks like that's guaranteeing Democrats another 5 seats in the U.S. House.
Wow.
And so Missouri can give, and Missouri's likely not going to be able to give one this year, because if they get the signatures on that ballot initiative, that's going to freeze it. And so Missouri's not going to be able to deliver probably even one if things work out the way I think they're going to work out. Illinois legislature assembly is now talking about redistricting to add 3 or 4 Democratic seats. Now you're getting into competing with what Texas is doing.
Yeah.
So you could have either a check on that or possibly Democrats even come out ahead numerically just by gerrymandering and picking their voters. So the battle of the gerrymandering may or may not come out in the Republicans' favor on this.
Yeah, I can't imagine, especially with how many states already have 0 people, even despite having a strong Republican base in their state, that have 0, that they're going to be able to, there's just enough that they could pull that off.
Right.
And that we're not going to be able to really do a whole lot about that. But, if you've got your, some thoughts on this, we are streaming on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, X. We have a nice little setup where I can see most of your comments. I can pin them. You can tell us how right and amazing we are, or sometimes
how wrong and dumb we are.
Yeah, or not Mike because he's in great shape. You can say, "Hey, Jerome, you're too ugly to be on radio," right? But otherwise, if you have somewhere to be that you can't sit down and watch us, you can bring us with you on the free News Talk STL app. You can bring us wherever you go, as long as you've got signal and you have a phone. You've got a radio.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area. And I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way. And right now, it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony.
And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. So no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner Home Selling Team.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Columbo and Company. We're over a month into the government shutdown, and New York is about to elect a new mayor. It's going to be a busy week, and we'll get you the latest Monday with Paul Kurtman and AI expert Mike McCleary.
Live and local weekdays at 2
on NewsTalkSTL.
The perfect body, the perfect face. It's like God's best work, all in one place. From the haters, ain't perfection. Can't you say it's a burden being wonderful like me?
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
I got to go check on our sales guy, Ethan, after this. I want to make sure he's okay.
Yeah, you might have to go talk him off the ledge.
Oh, he's a big Blue Jays fan.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it did not go their way this past weekend at all.
Well, I heard they put a pretty good fight.
It was an extra inning game. It was, I mean, this was a great dramatic World Series. And I think we're 99 days away from spring training. Countdown's on. I already missed baseball. Actually, because my buddies, one of my teams that I play in, they're down in Florida right now playing in the World Series.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So some of my friends played last week in the 45 and over division, which I've typically, that's what I usually play in when I go down there. But I now qualify for the 53 and over division, but couldn't make it this year. So my team's down there, and they won their first game yesterday.
Ooh.
And they won big.
Well, hey, keep that up, boys. We're rooting for you.
Yeah, go St. Louis. Down in the Roy Hobbs World Series down in Florida, teams from all over, frankly, over the world. Yeah, it was kind of funny because all the years I played down there, there obviously there's some teams from Latin America that go down there. A couple Canadian. I played against some teams from Canada. There was up until the war started, there was a team from Ukraine that showed up every year. So it was just a lot of fun out there, mostly from the U.S., but all over the U.S. So it's a great time. So next year I'm back there. I'm going back to the tournament.
Well, and I know you said that your entire media career is to fund your baseball
That's
career,
right,
but I do appreciate you sticking out with us to keep the news going and help people stay informed.
I had some other logistical things that just didn't make it possible. Otherwise, I'd be down there right now playing with them. But that's where that is. But hey, I'll try to keep up with what they're doing. So we'll get the updates from Fort Myers on that. That's what I usually do. Is I'll send a video update and I'll send it in and we've had some fun with that. On the air, even when I'm down there in Fort Myers.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a good time on there. Okay. So you mentioned the food drives.
Yes.
So there are several food drives that are happening right now. So here's the thing. Let's take what many would consider the best case scenario. And that is the government reopens. They vote to reopen on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably not going to happen. So even if the Senate, if there are like suddenly 5 Democrats who flip, and as Bob Onder was telling us, they'll probably have to change the date and say, okay, through January, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, then it's because the date's changed, then it has to go right back to the House and go back for a vote there. So you're probably looking at the end of the week before anything can be done. You're also probably looking at Wednesday or Thursday at the earliest before any EBT recharging of those cards will happen based on that court order that happened, court orders that happened. And even then, they're not sure they're going to be able to fully fund everybody to what they normally would get, because there's only so many funds that have been allocated. And that's what the whole government shutdown's over. They've got the money. That's not it. It's the permission to spend it. So the judges have basically ruled, as Susie was telling us, to say this contingency fund you have to go spend that, even though they don't have legal permission to do it. The judge has ordered them. The Trump administration says, fine, we'll do it, but we'll get it done as fast as we can. So Scott Bessent says maybe Wednesday, possibly Thursday, but don't count on it being the full amount.
Yeah.
So that means those food drives are going to be relied on a lot more than normal.
Mm. And that's something that I've been thinking about. So when it comes to, for example, blood drives, right?
Right.
Whenever there's a big disaster, something happens, a lot of people that, they go out there, they want to donate their blood, they want to help out how they can, but they also don't realize that throughout the entire year, there's a consistent need from a lot of donors, and only going when there's a natural disaster, that's not going to be enough to fill that. It's sort of the same philosophy with these food drives, is that, on the one hand, there are probably a lot of people that could feed themselves that aren't, but on the other hand, a lot of people are freaking out because we've not really done a whole lot to try to maintain a steady rotation and of food for our pantries and for stuff of that nature. So now that the government is at a point where it controls however many millions of people are going to eat, people are scrambling together to get stuff done. And I wanted to, say, thank you to everybody that is taking it upon themselves,
because that's the way it should be.
That's exactly the point. This would not be such a panic moment if people consistently held that value and that internal, I want to do my part and help my community, and not wait until it becomes a catastrophe to then say, well, maybe I should step up and do something. The
ultimate toxic charity is the federal government.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. The ultimate toxic charity is federal government. And there are a lot of, I'm referring to Lupton's book, Toxic Charity, but the ultimate one is the federal government, because the incentives are all wrong. The incentives are to create dependency. So when you see these food drives around St. Louis, that is the volunteerism, for lack of a better word, the community approach that we should have been doing in the first place. One, because if you do it without the federal government, if you react and go, oh my gosh, the federal government's not doing this, now we have to go take care of our neighbor. Well, no, we should be the ones offering it, because we're the ones most likely to not only help them get to something self-sufficient, but also hold people accountable. And we had Secretary Brooke Rollins on Fox this weekend saying, we found millions and millions and millions, maybe $1 billion or more in fraud and waste, just waste, in addition to fraud that we're fighting. So the federal government's really, really bad at this, but they've got huge numbers that convince us that there's nothing we can do. We have to depend on the Leviathan in Washington, D.C. And the reality is nothing's further from the truth.
Yeah, and that goes into a report that I saw from fiscal year 2024. So this is even before President Trump got back in office, saying it was between $10 and $12 billion in waste, fraud, and abuse. And then I've lost the comment, but Ellen from the Facebook stream pointed out that a lot of the spending issue right now is also because of how much during the COVID shutdowns, how many people were declared non-essential and needed that. And nothing was really ever fully done to try to correct that back to the pre-COVID spending. So there are a lot of people that got comfortable on that are now saying, well, I don't want to go back to work. I don't want to go and have this cut down because now the economy's back open.
True story. The restaurant my daughter worked at during those shutdowns, because that restaurant doesn't exist anymore. It closed, but they went from being kind of a pizza and barbecue sports bar kind of place. They became basically a takeout place. So their money was going to be on DoorDash and Grubhub because, Sam Page's goons were targeting all these businesses like, how dare you have customers in here? That kind of stuff. Yeah. You don't have them far enough apart. They were looking for reasons to shut down business because Sam Page is an a-hole. But what was interesting on the workers, because they had to lay off almost all their servers, they got all that COVID money. And so when things were starting to come back around, my daughter told me, and she was like assistant manager or whatever she was there. She actually told me, she said, we would call them and say, hey, we got enough work. We need you back. And their coworkers, the majority of them said, don't call me back. Please don't tell them you can call me back. I can sit at home on my butt and get the same amount of money.
Yep.
And so people didn't want to go back to work. Now, my daughter said, I'll take the work because it also meant the tip money. She made bank.
Oh yeah.
Just at a restaurant. She made bank at that point. I mean, she was out earning me.
Wow.
Yeah. On that.
And that goes into the whole philosophy of, if you are in certain industries and you put the actual effort and merit into it, and you actually develop and learn how the industry sort of works, you can make a lot of money just by doing the things that people are not getting elsewhere.
Right. And because she was willing to get in there and actually do the work, she's the one that made the money. But it's funny because she was happy to make the money, but she got a real lesson in human nature. And once she saw that people were just getting paid to stay home, it I think shaped a lot of how she sees things now. Because I don't think she's as conservative as I am. She's pretty, conservative. She's not particularly political, but that really ticked her off. And she's like, "That's not right." I'm like, "Welcome to, by the way, welcome to free markets."
Yes.
Because the bottom line is you sat on your butt, or you want to sit on your butt now. Well, if you're able to work, the jobs are out there, but they don't pay what I want them to. Well, no job ever does.
Yeah.
Go work anyway. That's your responsibility to take care of yourself. And if you can't, or you have bad luck, then community can come together to do it, but stop relying on government.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show. I am here with Dr. Grant Black. And Grant, entrepreneurship, it's one of those buzzwords we hear a lot about, but is entrepreneurship